Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome inside Edward T. Barry Ice Rink in Boston, Massachusetts for Senior Day for your UMass Boston Beacons. Their opponents this afternoon, the Wildcats of Johnson & Wales University. Mason Stauf alongside Matt Meisenbacher. Meisey, the Beacons navigate the gauntlet that was a string of games against highly ranked teams from Elmira to Hobart to Newt. And now we get to the final couple of games to the season. A home and home against Johnson & Wales over the next 24 hours. It's not cliche to say it's 6 points or bust for your UMass Boston Beacons.
Yeah, at this stage it has to be. Mason, I think this is a hockey team that really wants to roll into the playoffs with some momentum. They just played a Hobart team and tied them 2-2, and for all intents and purposes, that's going to be your toughest challenge in this conference. I mean, let's be real. That team has been in first place for the majority of the season, and Beacons played them tough. We were able to get some points there, and now they have a Johnson & Wales team that just doesn't have it this year. 2 wins all year in conference, and I think, quite frankly, like you said, this should be a 6-point weekend no matter how you shake it.
We will take a look at the conference standings. Everybody currently chasing the Statesmen of Hobart. You can see the Statesmen at 31 points, but after that, it is an absolute scrum. 5 teams inside of 2 points, led by your Beacons in second. But you look at all those tough teams behind. Babson, who the Beacons have beat twice. Elmira, who the Beacons beat last weekend. Norwich, who the Beacons have tied once and lost 2 once. And Skidmore, who will be one of their opponents in the final weekend of the season. Beacons control their destiny. And yes, it's a 6-point weekend because of Johnson & Wales' struggles this season. But it has to be a 6-point weekend because of all the teams right behind you.
Yeah, you take a look at the point totals, and you can really see 1 through 6 and 7, starts to trail off now. It's going to be kind of difficult for NEC to get into that top 6, but every team makes the playoffs this year. So you really want to end with one of those top 5 seeds, and the higher the better, because obviously the more home ice you can have in the conference play, the better off you'll be, especially given the records of Johnson & Wales and Castleton. So, Hobart looking pretty strong. They still have to play Norwich, so there's still a chance at the 1. But realistically, Beacon's probably looking at anywhere from 2 to 4 in terms of the standings, really trying to shoot for that 2 hole and try to play Castleton or Johnson & Wales and give yourself a pretty decent matchup for the first round.
Final 4 games of the season, 2 against Johnson & Wales. You see them down in 9th. Then Castleton, who you and I, Meisey, were on the call when the Beacons knocked them off 11-0 just a couple of weeks back. And then Skidmore, the final day of the season, next weekend, February the 12th. So 4 winnable games, but 3 must-win games. Skidmore can play anybody tough, so that could go either way. But Castleton and Johnson & Wales must-win games for UMass Boston Beacons. We take a look at the all-time series between these 2 teams, and it's entirely in favor of UMass Boston. 10-0 all-time against the Wildcats. Obviously a big game today, but it's also Senior Day, so there are a bunch of guys out there on the ice, and we'll meet them in a few minutes. There is no reason to drop to 10-1 today.
It's exciting given the matchup for, as you mentioned, Senior Day and a chance, Mason, this is one of those opportunities where the seniors, it starts to get real. And you start to really realize this is probably getting pretty close towards the end of it. I mean, some of these guys might go on and try to play professionally for a little while and, in some of these East Coast and perhaps AHL leagues. But for all intents and purposes, this is kind of it. And I remember talking to some of the seniors throughout the years where senior night, it starts to really hit you. This is kind of it. Something I've invested 10, 15 years in is coming to an end. And a great matchup with Johnson & Wales here where you can really end on a high note for some of these players. Not to say tonight's the last game, but one of those last memories where your family's going to be here, your siblings will be here, and you get a chance to really highlight yourself for your career.
We'll have a small handful of seniors, including the captain, Evan Helt, who has been here since long before the COVID pandemic hit. And now, like Meisey said, it is coming to an end for this fantastic batch of seniors. Right now, things looking good for at least 1 home game during the conference tournament, but nothing is guaranteed at that point, so enjoy it. These last 60 minutes, potentially, in front of your home fans, and it's great to have fans back. No fans for about a month and a half, just at the start of February. There's fans back in the stands, and that has to feel great for these seniors as well.
I was so nervous, and this, coming up, it was quiet in here. In the last few months, there's no one allowed, and it's just the way it was, and now finally they take a look and they say, all right, we've got to have some people here for senior night. I think it's great. I've taken a look, some of these parents over here. It's very exciting. It's a moment for the kids and also a moment for the parents who, they're the ones that have been going to hockey practice since 5, 6 in the morning, when you're a tyke all the way up to now as a young adult. So it's a pretty cool moment.
At some point during this game, we'll take a look at some highlights from the last game, but because the Senior Day festivities are coming up shortly, we'll stay right with you and get through as much of our pregame program as we can before we take you to the other side of the ice for the pregame senior festivities. We take a look at the team stats between these two sides over the course of the season. As expected, we are heavily in favor of the Beacons in this one. That Johnson Wales goals against average just shy of 6 goals per game, 120 goals allowed on the year for Johnson Wales. You said it, Mizey. It's been a struggle for them all season long, but you know what? They're not going to go out here and just give the Beacons a victory on Senior Day either.
No, I don't think so. They're going to make them earn it. For me, the Beacons, the one thing you don't want to do is get away from the game script, right? And there's a tendency in games like this to just kind of feel like it's a free-for-all, I can do what I want. And that could lead you into some trouble. So long as the Beacons stay to what they've done all year, I think this is pretty close to as much as a guarantee as you can get. But you never quite know, right? That's why they play the hockey game. And I think, like you said, this is a Johnson Wales team. The one thing I see on there that's not too bad, shots per game, 21, a little bit low, but in the power play at 15%. But, that's a team that in certain nights, if they start clicking, and you've seen this before, you might have one or two that sneak in, and all of a sudden you've got a hockey game.
And the last time these two teams met here inside Edward T. Barry Ice Rink, there were no goals in the first period, and then everything exploded. The Beacons ended up putting 10 past. But we've seen games this season where the first period's kind of gone back and forth. It's been pretty slow, and then the explosion came. We saw that against Castleton. We saw that last week where every single goal in that Hobart game was scored in the second period. So if Johnson Wales can stand tough for 20 minutes, start to get those doubts potentially creeping into the Beacons' heads, and you never know what happens from there.
That's how games like this, anytime there's a lopsided matchup on paper like this, it's funny how sometimes all of a sudden you're like, wait, why is this still a hockey game? And that's exactly like you said. That's how it happens. They can sneak up. But again, I think if the Beacons just take care of business like they've done most of the second half of the season, they'll be fine tonight.
The referees take to the ice. The Beacons will honor their senior class, 45-26-4 record over the course of their now extended career for many of them because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And you have players like Evan Helt, who started their career back in 2017. Here we are in February of 2022, and he's still there captaining the side. And, I mean, this is a bittersweet moment. I feel like everything stretched so long it felt like this pandemic would never end, so therefore your career might never end, but here we are.
Well, and I think on top of that, right, it's a weird – you don't have a natural progression from your freshman year to your senior year, right? It's been kind of chopped up along the way. And for some of these guys, it does probably feel like they've been here for, half a decade. And some of them actually have.
Yeah.
Evan Helt's one of them, right, who actually has been here for 5 years. So it's kind of interesting. It's a very unique class in that way. They've been through not just stuff on the ice, but obviously you could probably make a case they've been through the most as a class with off-the-ice issues, obviously the COVID pandemic being, number one.
And, of course, we'll be able to look toward the future as well in a game like this. You say goodbye to these seniors, and luckily this should, assuming things go well over the next 2 weekends, this will not be the last time you see these seniors right here on home ice, because they put themselves in pole position to at least get 1 to maybe 2, even 3 home games for the conference tournament. But this team has a lot of potential. Luckily, despite this extended period of time through the COVID-19 pandemic, it's not a huge senior class. Next year's going to be a lot bigger, but there's a lot of potential for the Beacons, not just for this conference tournament, but going into next year as well.
Yeah, I don't want to say they've surprised anybody, because I do think a lot of teams, or a lot of teams in this conference, I should say, recognize this team could play. You took a look, when we looked at the standings, you notice the Beacons number 2 in the conference, but not nationally ranked. So it's kind of that in-between where, they're still flying under the radar a little bit. We'll send it down now as we start the senior ceremonies here.
We welcome you back. Not quite sure how well you can hear the audio from the public address announcer, so we're going to talk you through this. Mason Stout, Matt Meisenbacher here. Evan Rahoviak, the first senior to be honored, that extra forward, but we do expect that they will start basically a full senior line, and so we'll see plenty of Rahoviak, and hopefully in a game like this, Meisey, where Johnson Wales hopefully will struggle, the Beacons take it right to them, you should see a lot of these players in their final home regular season game.
Yeah, I would think so. Rahoviak and then Nitkin and now Evan Helt, the grad senior, they're going to log a lot of minutes tonight. I think especially like you said, if this game, they can lock it in early, these guys can log a lot of minutes tonight. And, the thing I think, again, we talk a lot about here, just a special moment, right? And for me, it's definitely for the players, but I think primarily for the parents. And you can take a look, you'll see as we go along here, a chance for them and siblings as well to, have that moment, right? And you get the photo, and it's just a nice way to kind of cap off a investment that these parents have made in their children, right? And these young men, since they were young boys, like we said, going to the rink early on. I mean, anybody who's been through, a hockey life knows that it's a grind. It's a lot of weekends and a lot of money and a lot of time in the car. And now here you are with your young son, Chris Peters, getting honored right now. To have that moment to kind of look back on all that maybe and say, hey, my son was a college athlete and made it to a level that a lot of players didn't.
We'll certainly sprinkle plenty on these seniors throughout the day, but Rahoviak loved Babson, loved to play against the Beavers. A couple of 2-assist games, 6 goals, 10 assists for 16 points in 44 career games for Rahoviak. Nitkin, 14 goals and 26 points, ties for the league lead in goals. So Ethan Nitkin, who you will see plenty of on those main lines for UMass Boston, has really come alive in his senior season and will certainly play a major role if UMass Boston goes for the second conference title that this senior group will have won after the 2018-19 NEHC conference tournament title that they won. Evan Helt was third. You see him, number 20, the captain. Mentioned that he's been here now for a half decade, going back to 2017. Doesn't have a career goal. Boy, what a day he could have if he gets it today. But 11 assists, and what a mentor he has been. And his off-ice impact has been monumental, probably even more impactful than his on-ice impact. But you need those types of players. Then we mentioned Chris Peters. And we'll talk about Peters a lot as when Evan Helt's not on the ice, he's effectively the on-ice captain. And then Jeffrey Skinner. Those lightning fast hands that we've come to love so much over the course of the years. And 22 goals, 25 assists, and 47 points in 70 career games for Skinner. So every single one of these seniors, there's nobody out there who hasn't made a monumental impact on this program.
And a true Peter Blyle senior class, a little bit of everything. 2 scorers, a playmaker, a stay-at-home defenseman. There's pretty much a little bit of Rakowiak, who's kind of a utility player. So you got a little bit of everything in this senior class, and that's true to form with Coach Blyle.
Johnson and Wales sending out their starting lineup. They will start their front line of Declan Dennehy, Cody Lagasse, and Adam Krofchalk as their front line. And then first line defense as well, Oliver Ruth and Brett Crawford, who will wear the captain's C along his left chest, the captain number 13 out of Alpharetta, Georgia. And now we will meet UMass Boston's starting lineup. Expected to be that senior line. There's Skinner. They will start Chris Peters on the defensive side of the puck for that senior line. So he will actually play much out of position, but things will get a little bit more normal during the course of the game.
Well, one of the things I know, being a part of a few of these myself, the seniors know they're going to be starting. And they know they can take a couple liberties. You get one shift where you're going to get all your class on the ice at the same time. And half kidding or not, Mason, a lot of these seniors maybe try to have a couple plays drawn up, right? Let's see if we can do something funky. It's not going to be us 5 on the ice hardly ever again. So we'll have to see if they have anything fun drawn up, but a good moment.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We pause for the national anthem. Then it's time for puck drop on Senior Day between your Beacons and the Wildcats.
Paris changed my life, and I got there through UMass. Those very specific seminal moments in Paris. The subway. A man in a tuxedo walked in, and a woman in a long gown. And it was stunning. It all hit me. It was like a lightning bolt. There was this world of beauty and style that I wanted to be a part of. That was the beginning of the journey. And that all came through the University of Massachusetts. And that was really a key moment for me. It's one of those moments you never forget.
The team slapped the ice, and we are just about ready to go. We take a look at the goalie matchup in this one. The only non-senior in the starting lineup is the netminder for your Beacons, Sam Best, and opposite him for Johnson Wales, Jackson Friedman. We expect to see a lot of Friedman under fire.
We're going to be saying that name a lot today, I think, Mason. Given the let's just base it off the statistics. He's going to see a lot of rubber here tonight at the Edward T. Berry.
.869 the save percentage for Friedman. Sam Best on the other side putting together a fantastic year. This may not be the day that we focused on Sam Best too much. Probably one of the only days we really shouldn't have to focus too much on Best in net. Of course, yes, should being the operative word, but you see those 3 shutouts, which he got all in a row.
Right, consecutive, yeah.
And
a 4th, which doesn't technically count, but
right, of course.
I'm going to still mention it every chance I get because I think it, anytime you post a 0, you should get mentioned.
But at the end of the day, as we get into conference tournament time, Sam Best very likely to be the difference for UMass Boston in at least one, if not all, conference tournament games. He is in net. Hopefully we get to a point where we may be able to see a couple extra faces in there today.
Would love to see an early goal here by the all-senior line. Let's see if we get it. They're excited.
Nitkin flips it in behind as UMass Boston wins the opening draw. Centering pass out front. Evan Helt gives chase, collects it, sends it into the zone. We have our first sub coming out. Peters quickly comes out defensively. That's not his main position. Sent back in there by Helt, who skates to the bench.
Peters was probably looking to change as soon as possible, being on defense.
I don't know. Maybe he loved it. Maybe he was like, I don't want to go out. This is great. I'm loving this. He probably went to the bench and said, see, I didn't concede anything, coach.
Yeah, that's right. More likely that. Oh, geez, good shot there. And a good hit. But, yeah, no, I think he's probably looking back. He's like, this is uncomfortable. I'm not used to being on this part of the ice right now. I'd rather switch and go back to my regular line.
But we do see right off the bat, Johnson and Wales, if you fall asleep on them, it's not as if that these aren't college athletes who can score the puck. So.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, take a look at their roster, and you're going to see it's not just people who happen to live in and around, Johnson, Wales, or in and around Providence, Rhode Island. I mean, they're recruiting from everywhere, just like the Beacons, and you don't want to let this team hang around on you.
Beacons gain the zone. Alex Duncan, first stoppage of play. Outside of that hit, it'll stay in the zone. Beacons will move it to the right circle for this upcoming face-off. Ty Matthews. Actually, it's Skinner. No, it is Matthews. Matthews is going in on the face-off. Third line is in there. Duncan, Matthews, Banks. Heavy hitting lineup in there for Coach Belisle. Johnson Wales wins the draw. Possessing it deep. Beacons looking to apply the forecheck. Wildcats get it out of the zone. Chip forward by Connor Cameron. Cameron goes in, chases and collects. The two teams mirror images of each other in terms of the color scheme. Beacons in their home whites trimmed in blue, but the exact same colors in reverse for Johnson Wales, with the royal blue tops trimmed in white.
Looks like a Toronto Maple Leafs practice.
Right?
Scrimmage or something. Johnson Wales used to have yellow. I guess they got rid of it. I don't know. They used to have some yellow in there. Maybe a third jersey we're seeing today?
Right.
Potentially? I don't know.
Well, we saw those traffic cone-like jerseys from Hobart last week, so much more of a traditional color scheme, less of a pain in the eyes than we saw from the Statesman.
Tell us how you really feel.
That one just escapes the zone, so the Beacons have to retreat. This one flipped way out of play. Deflects off the stick and goes high over the boards. So we'll come back out of the zone. Gino Carabelli, last to get a touch on it before he heads to the bench. Peters back out on the ice in his more traditional offensive role. He'll be on the right wing today with Dakota Concannon playing as the frontline center, the junior from Warwick. And Devin Moran, the true freshman, on the first line on the left wing. And Moran has really grown into the season late. Had that winner against Elmira and had a couple of chances to score the winner against Hobart the next weekend. Or just 2 days after that.
Cannon on that top line, usually where Clifton is located. He's dealing with a cut on his finger. Sounded like, from what I could hear, a little friendly fire during practice, so that's unfortunate. Doesn't seem to be anything too serious. Just got to give the skin a bit time to heal.
2.5 minutes gone. No score. UMass Boston and the Wildcats of Johnson and Wales. Flipped high into the defensive zone. Retreating there to collect is Nolan Barrett. Barrett has a cannon of a shot. Loves to play on that line with Helt because Barrett's the more offensive of the two. Helt, your stay-at-home defender. And we saw Barrett with an absolute rifle from the right side to score against Hobart last weekend.
He's got a lot of potential. I like the way that kid's progressed, and I really think you could probably see him. You could count on him quarterback in that power play next year for the Beacons.
3 goals, 12 assists for Nolan Barrett this season. Beacons have it. Helt plays it off the carom. Doesn't get a touch, and this will be icing. And we'll come back down off to our left. I would say this is probably a pretty positive start for Johnson Wales. Their goaltender in 3 minutes, he's come under attack plenty of times over the course of the season. Early in games, he's been pretty quiet through the first 3 minutes.
Well, we talked about it in the pregame, right? I don't think Johnson and Wales probably agrees with anything we said in the pregame. They probably feel like they have a chance tonight, and they should. As we mentioned, they were likely recruited by multiple schools and had an opportunity to play juniors just like all these Beacons did as well. And I would be surprised if they came into this game thinking that they can't steal a sneaky win here.
Johnson and Wales and UMass Boston were supposed to meet last night down in Providence for Johnson Wales' senior night, but because of the treacherous conditions that caused about a 2-millimeter thick sheet of ice to coat my car before we started the day.
It was serious.
That was moved to tomorrow, so still senior nights, 24 hours apart, but Johnson and Wales will host theirs tomorrow. So UMass Boston will host their senior night first. Back-to-back icing calls against UMass Boston. A little bit sloppy in the early going, trying to find that rhythm.
Yeah, that's all it is. Need a couple shifts and a little bit more energy. It's a little flat to start here, which is could be expected. There's a lot of pregame energy going into this game, and that ceremony gets you out of your regular routine.
Knocked in there deep. Played off a rebound to Skinner. Skinner loses out on the 50-50 puck. Knocked back in quickly, but UMass Boston still has to clear the zone, and so retrieving it in there deep is Connor Linzo, the culinary nutrition major from Three Forks, Montana. Beacons nearly had an opportunity to break away. Johnson and Wales takes it back. Reversing around is Oliver Ruth. No numbers for JWU. Heavy hit delivered in there. Smashing into the boards. Pat Keegan delivered that hit, and it is Keegan who's on the puck now. Just chips it forward, allowing Alex Duncan in there to chase. Comes back out into the slot. Shot comes in through traffic. First major save to be made today by Jackson Friedman, and he stops it with his right pad. But the Beacons trying to break on the odd man as they change. Another shot, another save. Slot shot. Goes right into traffic and is blocked. Another shot, and this one is held. Beacons getting 3 straight looks at it, and Keegan's shot is held.
First one was tough. It was through a screen, and Friedman stood his ground. He was able to get it with the blocker. There's a little daylight there, and I'm not sure he got a good read off the blade, but I think he trusted his angle, and sure enough was in the right place. And then, as you mentioned, 2 saves after that. A good shift there by the Beacons. See if they can follow it up.
Keegan, 1 goal, 4 assists, was looking for his second from that long shot attempt. He's still in there. Waits for it and collects. The left-hander shoots again. Keegan's just having shooting practice right now from that exact point on the ice. Now here come the Wildcats the other way. Offside will be whistled against the men in blue.
Pretty easy call there. Looked like Allen was looking for that pass, and when he didn't get it, it was too late to stop and keep himself onside.
We move to the right circle, just to the left of center ice. Another nice hit delivered by the captain, Helt, as he pinned the player in the box. Johnson and Wales tried to score, and Sam Best stood tall.
Pretty good stop there by Best. That's a quick one-time, well, kind of a one-timer in front, more like a shovel pass, right? Quick pass to the top of the key, and then just kind of float that one in on net. Best was able to get it with the pad and control the rebound. Now that's the key for me there. The save is one thing, but the rebound save, or lack thereof I should say, is more impressive because that puck was rolling around.
Puck is cleared down ice. You hear the Beacon players slapping their sticks against the boards in support of that clearance by the defensive unit. Beacons take it back, surveying things and trying to center the puck, but no luck that time. Comes back into the defensive third. Helt skating through traffic. Evan gains the zone, moves to his right. Shot comes in, almost near-sided or far-sided the goaltender, but he was able to quickly react and save it to what would have been his weak side. Cross-ice pass, played off of a hop. Beacons trying to apply pressure, keep it in the zone. It is eventually flipped up and out into the neutral zone. The look across, brought under control by Devin Moran. Moran battles against 2 Wildcats up against the near boards. Cleared again and taken out this time by Declan Dennehy. Gotta say, it's been a fairly even hockey game. The Beacons have probably controlled the puck, but it hasn't not been a massive lopsided first 7 minutes. It certainly hasn't looked like 2 teams at polar opposite ends of the table.
Yeah, I would say we've gone from, okay, we got to find our groove to a little bit flat now for the Beacons, right? And I thought, okay, first few minutes in, we're trying to find it, maybe a weird start to the day. But this is now teetering on the point where we've started flat. I mean, we're almost halfway through this period, and a couple of good saves by Friedman, but really hasn't been challenged too much. And I'll tell you what, Johnson and Wales, like you mentioned, right there, they've had a few chances of their own.
This has not been something that's out of the ordinary. A lot of Beacons games seem to kind of start a little bit slow, and then the second period is a complete polar opposite of the first. So we saw against Hobart, we saw it against Castleton as well, where it really took the Beacons getting those first goals to suddenly take full control of the game. Here's an opportunity, and it's gloved and held. Nitkin from point blank out in front, but held by the netminder, Jackson Friedman.
He got that one in the neck, and good thing he's wearing his neck guard. That was rising in a hurry. He made that stop, and it looked like he knew it was pinned against his chest protector and his neck guard. He didn't even make a motion to cover it, but I guess sometimes you know that puck, you can feel it, and you just kind of hold on, wait for the whistle.
Nitkin The only one of the seniors that has scored in double digits every single season for which he's been a Beacon. He's 3 for 3, 10 back in 18-19, then 12, and now 14 this year. Chris Peters looking to join that group. He has 20 assists this year, looking to join the double-double crew with his 9 goals currently. Knocked off the puck was Jacob Banks. Banks wraps himself around, gives it up to a teammate. Back up top, shot from the slot. Blocked by the defenseman out front. Nicely done by the Wildcats, but they can't clear the zone. This is Keegan. Finds the pass. Keegan to Skinner. Actually, make it Matthews. Makes its way back around. Another nice clearance down ice, but that one will be icing. A little bit too much mustard on the clear. And Johnson Wales is going to have to send their 5 back out onto the ice.
Yeah, good opportunity here for the Beacons. That was a nice shift. A couple block shots. I think a shot on goal there, and now a chance to really follow it up with this next line here. It'll be the 4th line.
Carabelli, Bordeaux, and Atkins in there, along with Ryan Rowland. Actually, it's the Barrett held first line defense with the 4th line offense right now for Coach Belisle. Held waits at right point. It's recycled back in there for Carabelli. Gino battles up against one Wildcat. A second comes to support. Carabelli gives it up. Adkins. Very physical in there, the Wildcats. Not really, they're not getting it out of the zone, but they're really not conceding anything in a dangerous position, at least to this point, but it has been a really long shift for the 5 in there for Johnson and Wales. And finally they clear down ice and can change. Beacons try and counter quickly. Tapped on there, but Adkins could not control it. Peters takes it back. Here's the opportunity for Peters, and he's knocked off the puck by the treating defenseman.
Needed one more move. He was in.
Peters gives it up. An opportunity out front, and it's held. Barrett tried to do the little wrister, but could not beat the goaltender at his near post.
Yeah, and another good shift. So you kind of feel it building here, right, if you're the Beacons. So 2 good shifts in a row. Now a third opportunity. Coach Belisle gets a good shift from his 4th line. Now an opportunity for his 1st line to be out there and continue this momentum build.
We approach the midpoint of period number 1. Johnson Wales nothing, and your UMass Boston Beacons nothing. Similar to the last time these teams met here, where the Beacons ended up scoring 10 goals, but all of them in the final 40 minutes. What a vicious hit delivered that time. In there deep by Dakota Kincannon. Sends the Wildcat tumbling to the ice. This shot comes in from the left side. It was Kincannon again.
It was 27, Danny Allen there, Mason, who took the brunt of that hit on the wall, and looks like a skinnier kid. Popped right up. I'm surprised. He took all that one.
6 foot, 165 pounds, going up against another 6'4", but Kincannon delivering the brunt of the hit. Beacons take it back right at center ice. 1-2 passing. Centering pass attempt is blocked out front. Trying to find the pass was Nitkin. He gets it back, ducks around one defender, plays it on a hop to Ryan Bogan. Cleared again, and Johnson and Wales continues to stand tall defensively. They're being pressed back for extended periods of time in their own zone, but again, they're really not conceding a lot of dangerous opportunities in front of the crease.
No, that's a great point. Yeah, they really haven't. Everything's perimeter, and as much as the Beacons have generated, it really hasn't amounted to much. Just a shot from the wall there, a save by Best, but you mentioned it, Mason. It's been a lot of offense of possession time for the Beacons, not a lot of scoring opportunities, and I think it'll come. Maybe building a little bit slower than we had expected, but you want to start to see some action soon here. Halfway through this period, you want to see if this Friedman guy is up for the task today.
Logan Orem, the senior from Nashville, was the one that delivered that shot from the left side that was held by Best. But despite all the possession, I think Best's saves have been more. He probably has more saves, I would say.
If not, he's right there. You know, he's been called upon a few times, and that's the thing as a goaltender, right? Even on a night where you look at the, night before, you look at the matchups, you're thinking, okay, I see some guys that maybe I'm familiar with, but overall, let's not, pretend here. This isn't a Hobart. This isn't a Norwich. You kind of expect it to be, you want to be ready, but I don't have to come in here and expect to be, 40 shots on goal and half of which are scoring opportunities, right? You're thinking, hey, as long as I handle my business, we should walk out of here with a win. He's been tested a few times here.
Well, it certainly looks like Johnson and Wales and their head coach Eric Graham, at least through 12 minutes, have put together a pretty nice game plan. They know that they're going to concede possession, but they have played this game largely on their terms, on their defensive side of the puck, forcing the Beacons to the outside. Let's see if they can change that here. Shot comes in, blocked. Kept in the zone, though. Moved to the right side. Cross-ice pass that time gets tipped up and away on Pat Keegan's cross-ice pass attempt. And again, taken away, and Johnson Wales should be able to clear this one without too much difficulty. Sent in on the diagonal. No icing. Keegan retreats and claims. Keegan through traffic, gets past 2, now 3 defenders. Still on the puck, Pat Keegan. Now he heads for a change, plays it off the rebound, where it's retrieved in there by Jake Adkins as the fourth line's back out there. Turnover by UMass Boston. Johnson and Wales trying to plan the counterattack. Darting in there, Oliver Ruth comes back out. Beacons have it back again, but it just passed right to a player in blue rather than white. One hop off the glass and gloved. Friedman waits, and we blow the play dead with 7:37 to go in the first.
It's an interesting time in the game here. It's just not enough energy. I really don't think. I think the Beacons need a line where maybe they go out and make a couple hits. Get the bench more activated. Get the crowd into it a little bit here. It just seems a little bit flat here. Multiple assets on the bench, in the crowd a little bit.
I was going to say, the crowd really, you wouldn't even know they were here.
Yeah, a little quiet, a little quiet. They need a reason to stand up and cheer perhaps. And a lot of times, there you go. There's one, a couple hits can do that.
We're still waiting on our first power play. It feels like that might be something that the UMass Boston team is just waiting to happen so they can pounce. This Johnson and Wales team, they have talent, but they're in that unfortunate boat with Castleton where once they concede, it feels like they concede in bunches. And so they are currently standing tall, but if the Beacons can break down that defense just once, we might suddenly see the floodgates open, and that leads to the double-digit losses that Johnson Wales has had happen to them 3, 4, 5 times this season, including most recently against Elmira. Kicked off the boards. Wildcats try and take it away. It's taken away instead and tried to chip toward the net. Goes a few feet wide, but the Beacons continuing to apply pressure. Taken out at the point. Nolan Barrett skating to center ice. Gets it in the slot. Shot comes in. It's out in front. Spilled away, but Johnson Wales can reclaim, but they cannot get it out of the zone. Now they do. Best directs traffic, and that one's poorly played. They get away with it, though. It's with Johnson and Wales. Patrolling and trying to get the puck back on the forecheck right there is Peters. We approach 6 minutes to go in the opening period, and we remain goalless, and we really remain without a clear-cut scoring opportunity. Maybe the couple of shots from Keegan at the right point. Barrett had one good look at it, but for the most part, Friedman has had a much quieter day than I expect he thought he would have through 14 minutes. Nitkin going right at the defender. Getting the better play there was Matt Gulak, third-line defenseman out of Richboro, Pennsylvania. Again, Johnson Wales has it behind their net. Feels like the majority of the plays. That's a nice pass out front for Nitkin, and he sends it high and to the right of the net.
Should have ripped it right away. Too many stick handles.
Corner pass. Nitkin sends it right in front of the blue paint. Retrieved by Johnson and Wales, but again, right back to Nitkin and the Beacons.
You hear Coach Blyle saying, "Take ice." I don't know if it was heard on the audio. I could hear it, and really trying to use his defense to push the Johnson and Wales Wildcats back, right? And if your defense join the rush like that, a lot of times you have numbers, and especially with players like Barrett, Keegan, You know, some of these other guys, even guys like Helt and Bogan can get involved. You know, you start to give yourself an advantage in the offensive side. You just have more players involved in the rush than Johnson Wales can cover.
And I know as this one comes in, shot just goes wide. Nearly a rebound was there, but a nice look. Tried to beat the goaltender off to his right that time was Duncan. But Mizey, I know you were never on necessarily a team that had to play like Johnson Wales, but how difficult it is to essentially sit back and play like this over the course of 60 minutes.
So my second year of junior, I was playing up in Buffalo in basically a Canadian league, and we were getting outshot 3-4 to 1 every single night, you know, against some of these Canadian farm boys. And it's tough. It really is tough knowing each night you're going to go in and we're going to have to play defense a lot, right? And we're going to have to score. We might not get many scoring opportunities, but when we do, we have to score if we're going to have a chance. The thing that gives you confidence is this type of scenario where you look up, you're playing hard, you look up and you're like, wait, it's still 0-0. Okay, we're doing it tonight. We actually are doing it tonight. And so the longer that continues, the more confidence builds, and then all of a sudden, you know, you can kind of feel yourself, here's an opportunity here.
Nice reverse pass. Shot comes in. It's held by Best.
Right. So
at the near post again on the shot from Adam Croftchalk.
There's one where you're like, okay, a little shot there. Now Best can handle those, right? Like that's not a huge opportunity or a huge save. Best is going to make those stops. But offensively, Johnson and Wales, you're thinking, okay, we're getting some chances. Beacons haven't scored yet. We got a little bit of a better chance tonight than we thought.
Johnson and Wales with a young front line of the true freshman Croftchalk, the sophomore Declan Dennehy, and then Cody Lagasse is the veteran, the junior. But all three of them born in the year 2000. I know all those veteran hockey fans out there probably just cringed when they heard all these players born in the inside the 21st century.
Get used to it.
Oh, I know.
A new era.
Well, watching the Olympics, it's like, oh, here's this 16-year-old. Here's this 15-year-old. Okay. And I know I'm not too old, but it certainly makes me feel like the vet.
You're not that young either anymore.
Oh, you grow up watching all these Olympians. It's like, I want to be there. And now I've realized, okay, my very vastly out-of-shape self is no longer has any hope whatsoever of being one of those athletes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's easy for me to judge NFL quarterbacks from my couch. You know, it's a lot easier with a beverage in hand and a chips and dip to the right of me.
Oh, it has been great. Winter Olympics back. USA starting off nicely with a 5-2 victory against Finland and then a 5-0 shutout victory early this morning against the Olympic athlete, or the Russian Olympic Committee as they are referred to in this one, but looks to be another USA-Canada crash course.
Let's hope so. Those are always fun.
Certainly is. As the Beacons, with just 2:35 on the clock, still looking for, they've sustained attacking possession, but to say they've sustained attacking pressure would be a little bit of an overstatement. The way this game has been played. This is the captain, Evan Helt. Plays it off to his right. Barrett and Helt on that front line. The full first line's in there with Moran, Concannon, Peters, Helt, Barrett in front of Sam Best. Barrett tries the shot, but getting a stick in there and making the play, Connor Cameron for the Wildcats. And again, really not much developing. Here might be an opportunity for Peters. Reverses, gets back, plays on the backhand out front, spilled, but it's in there behind. Peters had all the time in the world. He's looking for goal number 10, as he has been for the better part of a couple weeks now.
Well, he had it too, Mason. I mean, he had the goalie down the rights. He just missed on the shot. That's all. That's all he had left.
Beacons take it back. This would be a crushing blow if Johnson and Wales would concede inside the final 90 seconds.
Good save.
Nice save there. Jackson Friedman. Really curious to see how many saves he's actually had to make in this first 20 minutes, whether he or Sam Best has had to make more saves. Shot comes in. Barrett knocked down somehow. Goaltender had to see through about 3 or 4 bodies on his way through. Not sure if it was he that made the stop or if it went off a shoulder. There it is, Friedman. He made the save that time, and not even sure how much he knew about it. The Beacons are looking for a goal late. Kept in the zone. Deflects off a skate and is chipped up high and cleared. And Johnson Wales is now 1 minute away from what feels like killing off a 20-minute power play.
Nice way of saying they've been defending a lot of this period.
I think so.
Okay. I like it. Very political of you.
But I mean, I say that with the understanding that the Beacons haven't exactly been peppering the goal mouth as you would expect on a power play.
Well, to a degree where we think they're going to go in, right? There was a flurry there. We got 30 seconds left in the period, so still might happen. There was a flurry there, but, yeah, really not too many scoring chances. Friedman's come up with a couple big saves, sure, but this Beacons team, it's been a slow burn, I would say, in this first period.
Knocked in there with 15 to go. Johnson and Wales just trying to kill off this period. They will be much the happier as this one deflects out of play, and the Beacons are going to have 8 seconds with an offensive zone face-off to generate something at the end.
You can hear Coach Bile getting more and more vocal, and that's how you know he's getting frustrated. When you don't hear from him, things typically are going well, typically. And when you do hear from him, it's usually a sign that you might want to put your sticks in a different place in the locker room, because you might grab one and start banging around trying to wake guys up.
Well, it's just one of those things is the Beacons doing the draw. Evan Heltz, no! Just deflected wide. Boy, what a day, what a way to end that period if Heltz had been able to score, and that will finish it. We have the same scoreline as we did after one period of our last home game, but a very different 0-0 against Hobart than we have here against the Wildcats of Johnson and Wales.
Yeah, not a terrible period. I think the Beacons will probably be frustrated. That definitely wasn't the way they wanted to start senior day, not really getting much of anything offensively and obviously nothing on the scoreboard. Now, that being said, there's still plenty of time here. I don't think that was the type of period where you need to change anything drastic. Definitely maybe make a few minor adjustments, but overall, it's a very solid period. The Beacons dominated in terms of times of possession. They got scoring opportunities, nothing great, but definitely had some chances where those pucks could have gone in. And the Johnson and Wales team that defended well. I thought they were aggressive on the puck carriers. When they got some opportunities to get pucks on net, they did. Just didn't have a ton of offense. So I think if you're Johnson and Wales, you're probably pretty happy. And if you're the Beacons, you're probably a little disappointed. But nevertheless, a 0-0 hockey game after one.
No score, 20 minutes in. We break and we have our Beacon spotlight. It's the captain, Evan Heltz. Let's hear from him. Almost scored at the death there. He's our Beacon spotlight on this senior day. Let's take a peek.
So I think once COVID kind of hit, we as a group after that season, we were kind of had a bad taste in our mouth. So we had a ton of high expectations, what we were trying to do the next year, and all that stuff happened with COVID, and we didn't have some guys transferred away to do other opportunities and stuff like that. So we never really got that chance. And our whole season shut down. And I just remember thinking, we had a Zoom meeting with an alumni, and I was thinking to myself, I would be kicking myself if I missed out on another good year with the team. And, it wasn't initially part of my plans to pursue grad school, but once the opportunity kind of came out to get that extension on the eligibility, and I was able to fortunately get a good tuition in-state rate, which was really helpful, and that was pretty much a no-brainer for me at that point. I mean, getting a grad degree while playing that last year of hockey and being able to lead a good group of guys has been pretty special. Yeah, it's definitely weird being the last guy from my class, but I got to give credit to the class below me. Those guys, I mean, they kind of brought me in and accepted me as part of their own. It's basically like I kind of went through as their sole classmate, which was great. It's tough you grow up and you live with, go through school and you live with the same guys, and then COVID hits and suddenly everything's changing and they're all doing other stuff, and I'm the only guy that's kind of sticking around. So I was lucky though. We've got great guys that were younger than me. They accepted me right away, and it was pretty cool. I didn't have to really worry about that sort of thing. It kind of made it easy to move on from it and kind of grow into a different role and kind of take the team somewhere else. Whenever things aren't really going your way, or things with the team aren't, people are upset or things aren't going right, I think you just kind of got it back to basics and just work on keeping the team together as a unit and making sure everybody feels comfortable in their own position on the team, because that's how you're going to perform, is when everybody's kind of feeling good about themselves and they know where they're at and they're comfortable with it. So I think that was the big thing, was like, even if we're not doing well, the first semester was kind of tough. We showed flashes of being a really good team, and then we'd lay an egg somewhere else and we'd think, oh man, like, what are we doing here? Like, we don't know what we're doing, stuff like that. So that stuff like that happens, and as a group of seniors and trying to lead these guys, we've really just kind of focused on bringing the guys together as a unit, and we've been really, really tight as a team because of it. And I think it's really kind of shown itself in the second half of the year. We've all been playing for each other, and working hard for each other. I mean, there's only 4 games left, but the past couple weeks, the stuff we've been doing in the weight room and the gym on the ice has been some of the hardest we've done all year. So, I mean, I think that just kind of speaks volumes. We're all working for each other and pulling for each other and working towards that goal, and I think we've made some good strides. First part of the semester, I was that extra skater a lot more times than not, and I kind of knew that's what the position I was going to be in coming into the year. No matter what I did, I kind of assumed that that's kind of where I was going to be, and I accepted it, which was fine. And it kind of helped me, develop leadership skills and kind of grow into that role a bit more. And then, I think that first semester, just as a group, especially the seniors, we were all just a little bit more tight and, grip the sticks a little bit too tight, trying to do a little too much with the puck, and it wasn't really working too much. The second half, just as a unit and myself too, we've all just kind of taken a step back and relaxed, take a deep breath. We don't really worry too much about it, and I think it's kind of translated into my game for sure, and it's helped me, and I know other guys, Nitty, Peters, Skinner, just relaxing a little bit and not, trying not to play. You don't want to play hockey to avoid making mistakes. It's just not a good way to play. So I think that's kind of been where we've been at, and it's really shown through our games. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to the weekend. It's going to be fun. Parents have come and visited before, but it's a different feeling being the last one, and, they'll get to meet Coach and talk to him a little bit and kind of just get to know him a little bit more like that. So it'll be a fun weekend. My grandparents will be coming out too, so it doesn't happen too often. And I'm most likely not going to have many other hockey games, if at all, after this. So it's exciting that they can come out and just have a good night. And who knows what's going to happen after this.
What do we mean when we say UMass is here for a reason? We mean that the 5-campus UMass system is the only public research university that the people of Massachusetts established to create better futures for themselves, but also for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as a whole. It's a university that educates 73,000 students every day and graduates 17,000 graduates every year. We are the university that educates the workforce of Massachusetts. We're one of the state's 3 major academic research engines: research that saves and improves people's lives, and research that drives the innovation economy of Massachusetts. We provide services and economic opportunity to every region of the Commonwealth. The noted historian David McCullough once said that 2 great concepts, university and Massachusetts, come together in only one place, and we are very aware of how fortunate we are to bear the name, the University of Massachusetts. We recognize that we are truly here for a reason, and that recognition inspires us and drives us every single day.
My name is Tyler Hart. Being on the track and field team here is great decisions I've made besides coming to UMass Boston. When you train together in that sort of intensity, you build a bond with people who are training with you. It's like a higher level of friendship. It's like teammates, it's just a different level. My freshman year, I got a Rookie Athlete of the Year. Outdoor, for my sophomore year, I was the first time I went to nationals. When I jump, it's a little difficult considering I have a hereditary disorder known as amblyopia. There we go. It's pretty much just a partial blindness in the left eye. The best way to describe it is if you have decent prescriptions for contact lenses, you take one of the lenses out, and then you put your hand over the eye with that lens. That's my vision. I rely more on my steps as opposed to my visual perception of how far away the bar is. And since I can't see out of my left eye, I have to sit on the far left-hand side of the class. Hopefully coach for a few years, and coach some high school kids, maybe even coach on a college level as like an assistant coach, and go to PA school, then do a 5-year program and try to get my loans paid back, and then go from there.
Back inside Edward T. Berry Ice Rink on the campus of UMass Boston. No scoring summary to bring you after 1 period of play. No score. UMass Boston and Johnson & Wales University. Mason Stauff alongside Matt Meisenbacher. Meisey, we'll get to the stats and we'll also go around the conference in a minute, but I, as someone who has been in that locker room with Coach Belisle, I would just love, like you said, it wasn't the worst period ever, but it wasn't the period that I expect that he wanted to see. If you were in that locker room right now, what do you think you might be seeing?
Well, it's definitely he's grabbing a stick. He's grabbing someone's stick. Now, if you've ever been in the Beacons locker room, you know there's a stick rack, and then there's basically nothing else unless you go into the bathroom. So there's really nowhere to hide. And he's been known to get a little aggressive on sticks. So if if you're a player that's a little particular about, maybe the way your stick feels, or you prefer to not have chips and nicks in your blade, you might want to find a way to get that stick out of the path that Coach Blyle's in right now. Maybe get your third or fourth choice out there for him to grab, because he's got to find a way to wake up this hockey team. And all jokes aside, if they come out again a little flat in that second period, Johnson Wales gets one, now you're down. I mean, that's a very real scenario that could play out. I think you got to find a way to get one here pretty quick in this second period.
We take a look at the first period stats. The Beacons did outshoot Johnson Wales 22-6, but I'll be the first one to say it, Mizey. I don't remember 22 saves from Jackson Friedman. Certainly not 22 saves that he was uncomfortable making.
Right, that's the thing, is the routineness of them, and especially from distance, some of them in the chest, and they're really not difficult for a goaltender to make at any level, right? And so 22 shots, you're wondering, okay, of those 22, how many had a legit chance of going in? Probably a handful. I mean, he had to come up with some big saves there, but the scoring opportunities, I don't think were anywhere near 22.
And we take a look around New England, around Beaconville first. Well, we got some highlights to bring you if you have time, but you can see that the Beacons were supposed to be up in Medford at Tufts for the national qualifiers, thanks to the ice storm that rolled through over the last 24 hours. That was canceled. But you can see men's and women's basketball both in action. Women's basketball victorious in a slim one by 5 over the Panthers of Plymouth State. Men's basketball is going to have to mount a comeback themselves over the Panthers as they trail 37-24 in the second half of that one. Tomorrow, there will be women's hockey here at 4 o'clock, but before that, just underway at Johnson Wales down in Providence, women's hockey, just as the men are playing a home-and-home against the Wildcats. So don't forget to tune in tomorrow, 3:45. Seth Orensky will be on the call for women's hockey against Johnson Wales. Puck drop at 4 o'clock. We take a look at the NEHC scoreboard. Everybody in action. You can see Babson 2 up against New England College after 1. Hobart down 3-0 against Skidmore. Skidmore, of all the teams in the conference that you really never know what you're going to get, I would say they're probably the most potent in that category of they could be up, down 3-0. It could be down 3-0. It could be 0-0. You really don't know with Skidmore, and you can see they are taking it to the Statesmen through 20 minutes. Norwich and Southern Maine tied at 1. Elmira and Castleton tied at 1. So there's some interesting score lines through 20 minutes, and all of this is playing into the Beacons' hands if they can take it to Johnson Wales and finish this one off over the next 40 minutes.
They have, in terms of strength of schedule, a pretty easy road to the playoffs. Again, we got to take care of business. It's not like they're going to hand you free wins, but a 3-0 deficit for Hobart, and that's a team that's in first place. The Beacons can still get there. They got to take care of business, as we said, but a Skidmore win there definitely helps the Beacons.
All things playing in the Beacons' favor, but the first 20 minutes, nobody was able to get past either netminder. Not sure how many highlights we have from that first period, but we do want to take a look at what's coming up next as well for your UMass Boston Beacons. As we take a look, Johnson and Wales tomorrow night. That's an 8 o'clock start, so staying up late. No NFL action outside of the Pro Bowl, so no reason not to watch your Beacons at Johnson and Wales on the Wildcats senior night. And then it's Castleton and Skidmore, so 3 games on the road. So a favorable schedule for UMass Boston, but they do have 3 games in unfriendly confines over the next couple of games to finish out the regular season. But you can see that Skidmore game on the 12th, and you look at that game against Hobart where they lead 3-0 after 20 minutes. You got to take care of your business against the Wildcats and against the Spartans, because you never know what you're going to get in that final game of the season at Skidmore. Not sure if we have any highlights from that first period. There certainly were saves for Jackson Friedman, but not sure how much else there was, and the Beacons would certainly like a lot more than they were able to get through the opening 20 minutes. We'll see if we can get those rolling. And if not, which frankly wouldn't be surprising, really wasn't a lot to talk about. But what are you looking to see, Mizey, over the next, I'm not going to say 20 minutes. What are you looking to see in these first 5 minutes of the second period?
Yeah, there's got to be more energy. And here we'll take a look at some of these highlights. You're going to see, as we've talked about in this intermission here, none of these shots are really that challenging. And Friedman has to come up with a save no matter what, right? And you know some of these have a chance of going in.
This is the Peters look.
Right. We didn't get to see the end of it. Best with a save here. But overall, and really for both teams, there were a few times where these goaltenders had to come up with a challenging save. But for the most part, that was a pretty easy first period. And I don't think if you're the Beacons, that's the one I really thought had a chance to go in. That was Peters in by himself there. He just couldn't find a place to pull the trigger. I really thought the Beacons they needed to find that extra gear. And we've seen it from this team where they kind of stall out a little bit. And I'd be willing to say we saw that in the first period. They just never got it to that next level where they were really threatening this Wildcat team. Hopefully for this first 5 minutes, they get a few opportunities, they can bury one, and now we're going to see that's when the momentum starts to take over and you start to see a Beacons team that can really shell an opponent to the point of complete oblivion.
It's hard to believe this Beacons team is not ranked in the national polls, but this is a Beacon team that sometimes they play on a completely different planet when it comes to their ranked opponents. They've challenged Norwich. They should have beaten them the first time. They beat Babson twice. They beat Elmira. They had that tie against Hobart, but there's also a team that's lost to Southern Maine. And so the hope is that we get the team that drew against Hobart, the team that beat Elmira, the team that beat Castleton 11-0 through 20 minutes. We didn't see that yet.
Right.
It can happen, and it frankly should happen based on the caliber of team out there. This is a team that's currently second in the NAHC, which is, for all intents and purposes, the most challenging conference out there for D3 hockey, and a lot of people would say. Things got to change, and it can't be over the course of 20 minutes. It's these next 5 minutes where we're going to see, did Coach Beat Belisle potentially break a couple of sticks and fire up this team?
Yeah, I would think he did. I would think we see a lot less sleepy Beacon team here. Let's take a look. We're going to find out.
Here we go. Second period action. The teams obviously switch ends. Probably the first time where you might not be able to tell which team's which. The Beacons are in the home whites, trimmed in blue with the white numbers on the shoulders and blue numbers in the back. Johnson and Wales, the mirror image of that color, as this one takes an ugly deflection. It's dropped out in front. Players go down in the crease, as does the goaltender. And the Beacons keep it in the zone with Evan Helt, the captain. Helt dribbles inside, deflected high. And the Beacons already look more threatening in the first 20 seconds than they did in the first 20 minutes.
Right out of the gate with a good opportunity there. Friedman with a good stop. And the Beacons will make a change here, try to build off some of that momentum they had to start.
UMass Boston controlling the play through the first 20 minutes, had those 22 shots, but that is the closest that they've probably come, except for Chris Peters' one look where he left the defender on the ice, had the goaltender beat, but just couldn't finish it. This one, nice hand-eye coordination to flip it high from Jake Glod. Actually, that was Connor Cameron, number 10 for Johnson Wales. Cross-ice pass. Darting into the zone to collect it are the Beacons. And it's gloved in that left hand by Jackson Friedman, who continues his strong work in net.
And I like his approach. Make the save, control the rebound, get a whistle. The last thing you want to do is allow some rebounds, give anything free to the Beacons for a tap-in. Just try to make those first initial stops, allow your D to clear out.
Friedman is big. He's got that goaltender size, 6'3", 185 from Kennebunk, Maine. Their backup goaltender, who started their last game, Jake Perrin's just 5'10", so Friedman has the size. Can the Beacons find their way past? They continue their offensive onslaught, but still looking to break the deadlock. One-timer through traffic, nearly poked in on the backhand by Alex Duncan, the freshman.
Good save there by Friedman, got the initial. I don't know actually if the initial got through. He definitely got the rebound, but had to be there for both.
Alex Duncan, 6 goals, 6 assists, nearly had number 7 on the backhand in front, trying to get through, and eventually getting poked away that time was Peters. Not sure if that was a shot or a pass from Bogan. The deflection nearly took it on frame. Tapped behind by Sam Best. Another quiet period for Sam. But as has been the story all season long, does not put a glove or a stick wrong through the first 20 minutes. Continues his electric goaltending work in net for UMass Boston. But certainly saying, come on, guys. I'll make the saves I need to make, but let's put some goals in here and make it easy on me.
It's one area you can't help as a goaltender, scoring.
Flipped out top. In the slot, up high. Shot through traffic by Ryan Rowland. This one pings off the back of a helmet of Aaron Garrison and kept in the zone. Chasing it in there deep is Peters. Wheeling around, does a 180. Just tries to throw it off the net. Not sure if that was the intention, but that was the result. Rowland keeps it in there. Story of this game has been long shifts. Here's the pass into the slot. Rowland couldn't collect it, then just tried to shovel it in there deep. Closest player was Owen Bordeaux. Beacons again possessing it. This one all the way through, and somehow Friedman had no idea where it was after he made the save, but it doesn't go into the back of the net, much to the luck of the netminder.
I think he glanced off the post.
I think it did too. Didn't hear that characteristic ping, but I think that's what happened. This has been a long shift defensively for Johnson and Wales. You'd never know the Beacons aren't on a power play right now the way they're possessing the puck.
You want to start sneaking in some fresh legs potentially if you're the Beacons. They've been out there a while as well.
Through traffic again. The long shift has not worked to Johnson and Wales' favor here. Can they get anybody off the ice? Here they go. They get 2 new bodies on, but 3 are still out there. They've been out there for about 90 seconds. Let's see if they just do a dink and dunk to go for the change. Instead, it's a shot and Best holds.
They had to get up there. They had to get that glove up pretty quick. That was labeled.
Logan Oram has a shot.
Yeah, sneaky save.
That's a left-handed shot coming up the right side. Has to adjust his body and flings it at the net, but that's the second time that Logan Oram's had space to move, and Best has been equal to it at his near post. 4 minutes gone, second period. More of the same for UMass Boston, possessing the puck, but still unable to get past Friedman. In between the pipes for Johnson and Wales. Played off the carom. Andy Walker goes into chase. Tries to dig it through. Nitkin surveys, comes back out. Evan Helt doesn't get the pass. Instead, it's sent cross ice to Nolan Barrett. Barrett elects not to go for the shot, but we know he is certainly able to launch one from that right point. Maybe he does here. Barrett gives it up. Nitkin, shot through traffic again. And I'm not sure if it was a defender or the goaltender who knocked it away. Deflected high. Taken in there deep by Skinner. Beacons come away with it again. Johnson and Wales is playing with fire right now. There it is! Andy Walker. 1-0 Beacons.
Well, you mentioned it. Good timing on your part. It just felt like Johnson and Wales was simply hanging on. And they were defending, but there was really no movement in the defensive zone. They were just kind of hoping that their puck was going to bounce their way. And just a nice play by the Beacons, right? A little pass in front, back door, no chance for the goaltender Friedman. Andy Walker's able to tuck that upstairs and give his team a 1-0 lead. But a good 2 or 3 shifts that they were able to build on from the Beacons. And now let's see if they can continue to add to this lead.
Andy Walker gets his 5th goal of the year, the junior, out of Detroit. And now play quickly whistled to a halt.
I think we got some helmets. This can happen sometimes where there's so many different nooks and crannies on these helmets that they can get tied up. And
Devin Moran and Adam Krofchuk had their helmets pinned together.
Lashed, and they'll get a change. And
Walker from Skinner, the goal at 4:55 of the second.
And now a false start.
Well, now we said, what's going to happen in the first 5 minutes? Well, it took them the full 5, but the Beacons do score.
Yeah.
And now we will see if Johnson and Wales can remain disciplined and keep this a low-scoring game, or if it has been too common throughout the year, Johnson and Wales lets the floodgates open, and the Beacons take it right to it. There's a shot that's deflected high. The right skate of the goaltender, Friedman, knocking it away off the shot attempt that came its way through from Evan Rehoviak.
And you mentioned it, yeah, you definitely want to see if he can build. And we've seen this from the Beacon team, right? They're a team of momentum. And once they get one or two, they start to really have a quick compounding factor where all of a sudden they've got 3, 4, 5 on the scoreboard. So see if they can build on this. Seem to have Johnson and Wales right where they want them.
It's Andy Walker's 12th point of the season. You get Skinner on the assist. He's looking to join the double-double club. He's at 8 goals and now 8 assists on the year for Skinner. This one from the left shot from Ryan Bogan. Johnson and Wales. It really looks like more of the same from the first period, but suddenly every shot looks a lot more likely to make its way into the back of the net. Not so much that one, as it was seen the whole way. And Michael Krapinski's shot is held, but the Beacons, it certainly feels a lot different, even though it may look the same from the first 20 minutes. It does feel different in here.
Well, it does. You're playing with a lead now, right? 0-0, a whole different ball game. You know, that's the type of scenario where a bounce, a bad break could really cost you, and now you're playing from a deficit. Playing with a lead, now you'll all of a sudden feel like, okay, we can survive here. You know, we know if we continue, I mean, let's be honest, the entire game has been spent in one zone primarily. We can live here all day and be fine.
You can see, not quite sure. He thought there was going to be a player there, but Pat Keegan flips it to his right. Nobody in a white sweater was there for UMass Boston, but they keep it in the zone. Johnson and Wales not only unable to break, but they can't seem to win a face-off right now either. And everything going the Beacons' way, and they finally have it their way on the scoreboard as this one's covered up. Johnson and Wales, it feels like their only hope is if the Beacons commit a silly penalty and put themselves at a man disadvantage, because right now Sam Best just, it almost looked like he's lounging off to our right with his hand draped across the crossbar, just saying, all right, I'll get involved if you guys need me, but for the most part, I'll just be back here.
It can be a scary feeling as a goaltender.
Yeah, right.
You know you're going to get called upon, and you're literally standing on ice trying to stay warm.
This might be that moment. Johnson and Wales, backhander across. Makes his way just in front of the blue paint, but out of the reach of the teammate for the Wildcats. Beacons come the other way, trying to chip it through and go to over the top, but unsuccessful that time was Gino Carabelli. Wildcats come the other way. Best sees it go past his right post. Trickles its way around the near boards. Beacons come the other way. Not a lot of pressure being applied. It's chipped in there by Evan Rehoviak. Wildcats take it away. But right back into the offensive zone goes Devin Moran and the Beacons. Moran wheels around, double team, turns it over. And is there an opportunity to come the other way for Hayden Haldane? There is not, as it's the captain who sends it in, but is that an icing? No. Nice job to get in there in advance of the play was Peters to prevent the icing. Cross-ice pass, shot is held. The goaltender didn't even think he held it for a second, but Friedman then realizes, hey, it's right into my chest, and freezes.
It was rolling up his arm a little bit. I think that's why he looked back. He wanted to make sure it wasn't rolling too far up his arm and behind him, but a good stop.
We'll go into another NEHC roundup after the second period, but we start to look, and if Hobart can't beat Skidmore and the Beacons can knock off Johnson and Wales, that would cut the point deficit to just 1. Going into the last couple of games of the season, Hobart did have the game in hand after last week, but they still have to play Norwich. So the Beacons are putting themselves in a good spot. They just need to start to put some distance between themselves and the Wildcats. Here's an opportunity, it goes through. Johnson and Wales, certainly not backing down. Cross ice look, backhanded, just wide. Trying to get it through the zone, but unable to get it on frame that time was Peters. Taken away, Beacons whip it in front. There's a nice little one-time finish. Easy as you like. At 11:38, to go on the clock, and it is Peters who gets his double-double. 10 goals on the year for the senior.
And a nice little play by Boudreau to get it over to him, Bordeaux rather. And looking for a feed, right? And you see Peters crashing back door. You just try to get that to an area where he can get something on it. And I don't think Peters even got, I don't even say 50% on that puck. I mean, he barely got it, but it was enough. It's such a distance the goaltender has to cover that even if you just get enough, it's going to get in. And you can see it there. A nice pass from the fourth line center and a tuck home by Peters to give a 2-0 lead to the Beacons. But that wasn't a blast from the passer, Mason. That was kind of a putter to tuck that in and give his team a 2-0 lead.
Things starting to look as they should. And Johnson and Wales played hard for 20 minutes, but they really do play a brand of hockey that is hard to sustain over the course of an entire game. And the Beacons have finally broken that deadlock, and now we will see, do we have more of the same as we go on? Remember, the last time these two teams played here, it was the same scoreline after one. The Beacons would then put 10 past the Wildcats over the remaining 40 minutes. Nitkin takes it away. Shot goes high. Nitkin took it on himself. He had a teammate off to his left. Could have tried to go one way and then just left it off to the other side where Jeffrey Skinner was waiting, but Nitkin tries to take it on himself, and you don't really blame him. He's got 14 goals on the year, but sails this one over the crossbar.
And I don't think he had a chance to see him. I think by the time he created the turnover and was looking to shoot, he was kind of already made, that decision was already made. I don't think he even thought about making a pass there.
Nitkin his 14 goals and 12 assists, trailing only Chris Peters now 30 points on the season. So there's another milestone for Peters with that goal. He gets to 10 goals and 20 assists. Doesn't matter what level hockey you are, you have a season where you have 10 goals and 20 assists. That's pretty darn impressive.
Indeed it is.
Love those round numbers. They always feel good when you hit those big milestone numbers over the course of a season. Beacons trying to make it 3, trying to get through traffic. Alex Duncan dispossessed, but it's taken back by Keegan. Keegan waits, circumvents the goal. Played off the carom to Alex Duncan. Duncan put under pressure. Has it knocked off of his stick, but then taken right back, and it escapes the zone this time. And they have to retreat with Rowland. Offside is whistled, is gaining the zone just a split second early, was Rahoviak.
It's tough. The Edward T. Barry, if you notice, the blue line intersects with the middle of the boards. And so when you're making a change, it's very, very difficult to stay onside with where the boards partition. You kind of have to have everybody changing in one area, and there's just not enough space. So obviously there's going to usually be a leg or something that's on the wrong side of the blue line, and that's what created the offside.
You see Skinner on the assist for Peters' goal. Skinner, the senior from Katy, Texas, so senior to senior for goal number 2, exactly what you want to see on this senior day. Past the midpoint of this second period and therefore regulation. Beacons 2 and the Wildcats nothing on a Saturday afternoon from Edward T. Barry. You're watching the Beacon Broadcast Network, part of the LEC Network. Power duo of Mason Stelf and Matt Meisenbacher on the call. As we get into the final days of the regular season, this one flipped up high. I didn't even see it. It goes over the top of the stanchions, which is out of play.
Yeah.
But somehow, despite all those rafters up there, it didn't actually hit any of them.
No, and it's always funny because there's plenty of things that can chip off of, and just found the one lane where over and under. You wonder if they changed that rule, right? Could you make a play? Like, I guess you have to call that, right? Because there's no way otherwise you could be using that to your advantage, I would think, right? If you knew where the spots were.
Well, what's crazy, and it's not usually, you don't see it in hockey, but you will see it in volleyball.
Yeah.
Like those stanchions that are in play,
right,
and you just got to play through it. And I've seen games decided In fact, the last game at my alma mater of Elon University, it was senior day, last day of the season. The final point in the history of the venue happened because it hit the rafters and went straight down for the final point.
You see it all the time.
House rules to finish things off. Yeah. So
going to get a penalty here, I think.
First one of the day.
Yeah, I think Johnson Wales is going to get called. Looks like
Connor Linzo.
Yep, you're right.
Looks like a holding.
Yep. So a Beacon power play here, and a good chance. Boy, you could feel it really starting to slip away for Johnson and Wales, right? 2-0, and again, this period has been all Beacons in terms of possession. Now a power play. You get one here, make it 3-0 with 8:26 left in the second, and you start to feel pretty confident about where your team is at heading into the final stage of this hockey game.
You have the Helt Barrett defensive line as this one makes its way through. Goaltender covers. You hear the holding call. And then on the offensive side of the puck, you get your good players in there. Nitkin, Walker, Skinner. Actually, it looks like you threw Nitkin in there with Concannon. So mixing things up. Nitkin, Concannon. And then dealing with the face-off duties. Looks like it's got Matthews or Peters. It's Matthews. Along in there with Nitkin and Barrett. Barrett at the point. Moves it to his left. Matthews surveys, gets it in. Is there a backhand look right inside the blue painted area? Oh, that's nicely done from Barrett. How about that play to keep it in at the blue line? And then just right that off of his own skate, lost into the blue.
Impressive hand-eye. He's coming back for more.
Why not? Knocked off the puck, though. Good defensive work by Oliver Ruth.
That's a penalty.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you got to handle that if you're the Beacons. And that's a hit from behind. I think
it's the captain who goes down.
Barrett, I hope, is all right. It didn't look like he crushed him, but, I mean, it's for sure a hit from behind. No doubt about it.
Brett Crawford was the player who went down to the ice, but you can see heading to the penalty box, and for good reason, was Ruth. So a 5-on-3 upcoming for UMass Boston, and now the medical attention is being delivered, and it looks like he's going to be okay, but certainly that hit from behind, not comfortable.
And I was just about to say, I'm seeing a new level from Nolan Barrett.
Yeah.
And it really seems like he's finding his stride defensively. You can see him joining the rush. He's entering with speed, and he's looking to create plays. The referee's talking about it right now. This could be a disqualification, depending on the severity of what they thought this hit was. I wouldn't expect it to be. I think we're probably looking at a minor here. But they're going to talk about it, and, yeah, they put 2 on the board. So it's just a minor, which I agree with. I didn't think it was a malicious type of hit from behind. Still a dangerous play, and I agree with the call. 2-minute minor. So a 5-on-3 for the Beacons here, and an excellent chance for them to start to walk away in this hockey game.
Realized that I had misspoke earlier. The Johnson and Wales follow-up game is going to be Tuesday. That'll be the senior night, 8 o'clock instead of tomorrow. So my apologies on that. But now there's even less of a reason to miss that one, as the Beacons will hopefully finish this one off and then go for another victory against the Wildcats in about 72 hours' time. This one possessed. Long time for Peters. Nobody coming at him. Johnson and Wales in that 5-on-3 really forced back right in front of the crease. Peters waits, sends it across, shot, oh, it goes off the right post. Beautiful look, and that would have been Evan Helt's first career goal.
I was about to say, and this guy, you got to try to find him.
Come on, Evan. Oh, sends it high.
Him. He's close, keep finding him.
If he scores.
Oh, it's going to erupt.
Oh, it's going to go insane. You might as well rush the ice.
Look, Nitkin wants no part. He wants to. As he should. You got to score here.
15 seconds left of the 5-on-3. Peters in front. Somehow deflects out high. Helt retrieves it. 5 seconds left of 5-on-3. A minute 13 gone. Helt! Oh. It deflects off. Second opportunity is there. And Friedman somehow reacts and covers. I'm not sure where he has it pinned.
Oh, man.
But he's got it somewhere.
Oh, I feel for this guy. So the first one, Evan Helt, right? 3 scoring opportunities on that little rush there. So the first one rang clean off the pipe. I mean, had the goaltender beat, clean off the pipe. Second one, Gets through. Goaltender makes a save. Third one, goaltender makes a save, but I don't think he saw it. I think he just happened to be in the right place. He didn't even flinch after the shot was taken. It just hit him in the chest, and boy, Evan Helt, man, you got to feel for the guy. Trying to find that first goal.
Krapinski had his shot stopped out in front. We're back to 5-on-4. Krapinski, one-timer high.
My goodness.
The Beacons are just teeing off.
Yeah, that was a
and
rip.
Somehow Johnson Wales is surviving it. It is capped in.
Yeah,
nope,
no,
there it is.
It's out of his own. Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm surprised they gave it to him. Krapinski, wow, he got a lot behind that shot. I knew he could shoot, but I don't know if that one he just got it in the sweet spot or what. But that thing was ripped.
The Beacons have some rifles from their defensemen. We know Nolan Barrett can launch one. Krapinski can do the same. Both true freshmen, and I always love to see it's senior day, so you focus on the veteran guys.
Yeah.
But I love it when the freshmen step up on senior day, and you're like, yep, we're going to get a lot more of this.
The next era, yeah. Pat Keegan in there too. They have 3 defensemen that really can play in all 3 zones.
All 3 right defensemen are true freshmen, and then you have 3 juniors and a grad student on the left side. Evan Helt, of course, the captain, being that grad student with Bogan and Roland on the left side. So the right side of the defense, very young, and a lot of potential for head coach Belisle and this Beacon team. Somehow, Johnson and Wales survived both penalties. We are back to 5-on-5 hockey. So a monumental penalty kill by the Johnson and Wales Wildcats. This one shot out in front. Nearly there to tap home was Moran, and Friedman involved again. You think Sam Best is having fun back there? Look at him.
I'm telling you, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare if you're a starting goaltender for the Beacons tonight, because you know you're going to get called upon, and it's so hard to stay warm. I don't care how much skating and stretching you do. There's really no replacement for game action. And you're trying to, and then the other part is mentally, right? You're watching all this action down the other end, the furthest part from you, and then all of a sudden you're going to get like a breakaway or a 2-on-1 that you're going to get called upon. You got to be ready for it. There it is, and he was ready for it.
Yep.
I'm telling you, hockey's predictable, man. I look like I could see into the future, but that's a big hit there. This is how these games go.
Well, it's the unpredictability that's predictable. It's the good thing for UMass Boston, we played 35 minutes, and I know I'm about to jinx it as the announcer, so why am I even saying it? But they have kept themselves out of the penalty box.
Yeah.
And so that has allowed them to completely control possession. And I know possession in hockey is not nearly as much as it is in say, soccer or something else like that where it is possession-based. But, boy, 80-20 in terms of possession of the puck for UMass Boston. It's definitely very anti-hockey-like.
Yeah, significantly lopsided in one way here. But still a 2-0 hockey game. Still, I mean, right? Johnson Wales could get a puck bounce and then get one late. They're tied this hockey game.
This one played on the carom. Best sees it go past his right post. Battling up against the boards is Bogan. Giving in their support is Krapinski. Beacon's trying to clear. Johnson and Wales, the longest time they've had it is Best holds it. But Mizey, I think back because it's hard not to compare Johnson and Wales and Castleton, the 2 teams at the bottom. And we called the Castleton 11-0 game, whereas it felt like every single time it was the Beacons just breaking and teeing off. This game has been so different in terms of the Beacons possessing the puck, waiting for the play to develop. It's been different between 2 teams in Johnson and Wales and Castleton with similar records, but it shows you that records only tell you so much because the game can be played in such a different way.
That's a great point. I think Johnson and Wales has competed harder. I thought Castleton really lacked a certain level of competitiveness in that game. But here's the 2-on-1.
Here's the 2-on-1. Pass across. Moran. Oh, my goodness. Right under Chris Peters' stick. He was already, it almost felt like he was about to be peeling away with his goal. He already has one and just forgot the puck.
Yeah, it bounced up on him at the last second. But to your point, I think that Johnson and Wales' competitiveness has been there. The thing is, they're a little bit mismatched, and we knew that, right? Statistically, there was really no one category we looked at that said, oh, maybe that's something they can hang their hat on. It's a little bit lopsided on paper, and we've seen again here on the ice, lopsided there as well.
Well, the next goal will be the difference. The Beacons can make it 3-0. You might as well chalk up 3 points. But Johnson and Wales is still in this hockey game. Do not. Oh, it's this one. Hello, fans.
We good? Tell me we're good.
Yep.
All right.
There comes the puck back out onto the ice.
Always scary.
You can put up all the signs that you want and say, be aware of flying pucks, but until that rock-hard piece of rubber is coming at you, you are not ready for what that is.
Especially today's day and age, taking selfies. Next thing you get your bell rung.
Oh, it's senior day. You probably got to have a camera out. You're filming your son out there, and suddenly you're in the game.
Right off the schneid.
It is frankly surprising that we're here in 2022 and we're here inside a college rink and we don't have netting that extends as far as it does at that next level. There's a beautiful play by Nitkin. Goaltender down on the ice. What do you do with that? Ethan Nitkin makes it 3.
Well, you can see the scoring touch, right? And that's kind of a nothing play that was created out of midair. Nitkin just creating pressure in the offensive zone. A little bit of a turnover. And next thing you know, he's in on the goaltender. Didn't have a ton of room. It was either right or left. He chose left and was able to tuck that underneath the goaltender and give his team a 3-0 lead. Again, really a nothing play. It looked like that puck was just going to be forced back out into the neutral zone. Nitkin created the turnover and got himself a scoring opportunity as well.
So if you're playing senior point bingo at home, you know you got Peters with the goal, Nitkin's got a goal, Skinner's got an assist, so we're still looking to get Rahoviak and Helt into the action, and boy, Helt was so close. But this is what you want. The Beacons have extended the lead to 3, and now hopefully things start to become a little bit more fun out there on the ice for these guys.
Well, it's reaching that point. It definitely is reaching that point.
Beacons back into the attack. This shot from the point, deflected down by Keegan. Taken back, this shot deflected high. Looking for it was Banks, trying to get his second goal of the year. Both teams go for changes. 1:44 left, and
Generous
you see
assist.
Nitkin from Keegan.
It's a generous assist there for Keegan.
Hey,
but
there's some generous secondary assists
That's true.
too in this sport. So
Very true.
players go in before the puck drops, and we restart. Johnson and Wales finally wins a draw. All they do with it is flip it out into the blue ice and taken back with 90 seconds to go. In period number 2, things pretty much as they should be now, with the Beacons scoring 3 times in this period. Is there time for one more? The whistle sounds. What happened there?
Penalty here?
Yep. Oh, I was in a delayed penalty, though.
Well, let's see. I'm curious.
Beacons had it on their sticks.
No, you know what?
It's not.
It's a helmet issue. So, yeah, which is kind of a strange, I guess, with today's day and age, the cage. So if the cage comes undone, I think the referees have to blow it.
Yep.
You don't give a chance to let them strap it back up. And I think that's what we saw there was Johnson and Wales were saying, we don't want to take an end zone draw. We had possession, but because his helmet was coming undone, the ref didn't have a choice.
Karabilli wins the faceoff. Kropinski, how did that one miss? Had the look, just couldn't get it. Adkins. Beacons continuing to play. Now it really does feel like every single possession is just like a power play.
Yeah.
And the Beacons are just possessing it and just ripping shots at Friedman. It's been a much tougher second period.
That could have been a goal.
Certainly could have been. And you can see Johnson Wells saying, where is it? Where's the call? Nothing coming with 52 seconds to go in the period. Has Sam Best made a save in the second period?
I'm telling you, leave him alone. You're gonna jinx him, and then he's gonna get a big rush or a 5-on-3. You know, he's got to kill off for 2 minutes.
What am I supposed to do? Not call the game?
Tough night for a goaltender, I'm telling you. Actually, no, I'll stick with that. Both goaltenders. You got Friedman, who's getting shellacked, and then you got Sam Best. That's like, guys, there's only so many stretches I can do.
How about that move?
Massive.
Oh my goodness. Some beautiful stick handling there from Evan Rahoviak. Give him a point for that.
Oh, man, and then another hit for Binsky. My goodness.
10 seconds to go in the period. Beacons, is there time for one last rush? Chipped forward. Offside will be called if the Beacons touch it. Nope. And that'll do it. Well,
solid period. Really solid period for the Beacons.
A much better second 20 minutes. You can see the teams skating past each other and a little conversation taking place between the officiating crew and Hayden Haldane, who I think wanted that penalty late in the period for Johnson Wales. They just wanted something to go their way, and they could not get it. The Beacons score 3 times in that second period. Seniors involved in all 3 goals. Walker scoring first, followed by Peters and Nitkin. And the Beacons take that 3-0 lead into the second intermission. I feel like it's going to be much less stick-breaking in that locker room for Coach Belisle. But I have to imagine it's, all right, guys, let's keep our feet on the gas here.
Yeah, you're up 3-0 at home. This hasn't been the best output I've seen from this team, but you still got a 3-0 lead, and you really haven't. Johnson Wales hasn't done anything offensively. But Best has come up with a handful of saves, but quite frankly, not enough where you feel as though Johnson Wales is going to be able to threaten you in this third period. So all that tells you is twofold. One, we got to make sure we have 2 players back at all times, and we don't want to take any penalties that would give us a disadvantage and allow this team back in the hockey game. You do that, I don't see any way Johnson and Wales, unless they've got some sort of playbook that they're waiting to roll out here in the third period, I don't see any way they can climb back in this game unless the Beacons allow them to.
3-0 in favor of UMass Boston. After 2, we have a couple of Beacon spotlights today. We took a look at Evan Heltz after period number 1. And now we take a look at our most recent goal scorer, Ethan Nitkin, after period 2.
For me, it felt a little weird at first because I hadn't played a hockey game in 2 years. But I mean, as a team came together and we started getting in the preseason, we had Captain Evan Hells leading us for our preseason, the captain skates. And out of my 4 years, 3 seasons here, it was probably the best preseason we had. Like competitively, everyone was working hard. It was faster pace than normal, so that definitely helped get the feel of games back under my legs and into my game. We had a lot of new guys who they came in already with playing a bunch of games last year, so they pushed the pace for us. You could tell there's a bit of a difference between them and us as they've been playing all year. As a team, we started off pretty slow, and it was frustrating at first. Even as for myself, I was a bit frustrated. I didn't do as well as I'd hoped to do. But we did have a lot of new guys, a lot of young guys, and we do have good leaders on the team and a real good captain. So once we were kind of able to identify who we are as a team and get other players and newer guys to kind of buy into who we are as a UMass Boston Beacon, which it took the first half of the season to do, because we lost some games that we probably, if we went back and played them the team we are now, we'd win. We know that in order for the team to win, we're the older guys. We've been here for a while, and over our years here, we've been able to find the back of the net. So we know that if we're not producing to the max, the best of our ability, we're not gonna be able to win as many games as we'd like, and we won't be able to set ourselves up in the best position to win a championship. So yeah, we have a big load we need to carry as seniors and goal scorers. So it's good that we're doing well right now and definitely heading in the right direction. Me personally, the first half was a bit difficult, just a little frustrating. It wasn't bad, but wasn't great. So I'd say the second half, I went home, came back a little more relaxed. I was battling a couple injuries the first half, which may have got in my head a little bit, but came back the second half feeling good, refreshed, and I'm a senior, so it is my last college hockey season of my career, so I had to finish strong. I guess I kind of put all the unnecessary stuff to the side and focused on having fun, and it's working. It's kind of buying in just every day, which I don't think I was doing that enough the first half of the season. But again, we have leaders like Helty, and our coach points out a lot. Every single day, practice, he's working hard. He's outworking everyone, and he shows up every day. So you got to learn that you can't take any days off. And once I started, I guess Monday to Saturday, giving it 100%. I started noticing a difference in games and in practice. It took a while because we played a lot together in the first half. I love how Walker plays. He flies up and down the ice. He can really transition well, and he's great in the D zone. So he brings a lot of speed and gets the puck for us in a good position. We definitely communicate a lot because the first half we weren't clicking as well. So it took a little bit of time, I guess, to really get the connection between us going. And once we did, it's definitely, it's noticeably a big difference every game. It feels like we know where each other are, and definitely a lot of talking between each other on the bench. Yeah, it's been fun to play with each other.
We graduate 17,000 students every year, and the vast majority of them stay in Massachusetts. We have over 280,000 graduates in Massachusetts today. We graduate people in critical fields, engineering, STEM fields. We graduate people with research experience where they can start their own companies. It is amazing to see what UMass graduates accomplish once they leave the university. I remember vividly my own graduation from UMass. It was a beautiful day. It was perfect weather. I remember the pride that my mother and father felt. I could see it in their eyes. Here it is, 30 years later, I get an opportunity to preside over UMass commencement. It is so moving and inspiring for me to think this is what it's for. Here we are, we have these graduates that we're going to unleash on the world, ready to take on the world, happy about the accomplishment, but also hopeful about the future. It's hard not to get emotional at a UMass graduation. You see that UMass is here for the Commonwealth, here for a reason.
And we welcome everybody back. 2 periods in the books, and things pretty much as there should be now, with 3 goals putting in that second period for UMass Boston. Walker, Peters, Nitkin. You can see the 3rd of the season for Andy Walker. And then Peters and Nitkin followed that one up. Matt Meisenbacher alongside me, Mason Stelf, getting ready for the 3rd period. Still about 8 minutes or so until we get back underway, but you saw a little bit from Ethan Nitkin there. I was talking to Ethan Nitkin's dad in between periods, and I'm sure he's pretty pleased with that last nifty goal by his son, the senior from Miami Beach.
He's had a lot of them, and you could make a case he's the #1 scorer. I know probably a lot of people will say Peters, but those 2 guys have carried the weight, and you can see why. Nitkin creating a play really out of nothing there to give his team a 3-0 lead, and they've been kind of the catalyst for this offense. A lot of other players get involved. You see, guys like Walker, and you could go down the list, right? There's a bunch of guys that get involved, but really it's Peters and Nitkin that run that right side and generate a lot of that offense.
Very veteran heavy in terms of the points as we take a look at the second period stats. Oh boy. 47-10.
My goodness.
In terms of shots on goal through 2 periods. Friedman standing tall for the first 25 minutes of action, but Sam Best has not had to do too much. He's made the saves he's needed to make, and boy, when you're getting outshot 47-10, it's hard to win hockey games.
You might need a goaltender change just for wear and tear.
Yeah,
that's he's looking at, he's going to touch 60, I think. Easily, right? Well, I shouldn't say easily, but looking like he's going to be somewhere in the 60s.
And if we look at other stats, obviously this is a team that's vastly overmatched, but let's look at this for the way it is. The Beacons would love to have converted on their power plays. They had a 5-on-3 where they were just teeing off and didn't score. But hey, you haven't given Johnson and Wales any power play opportunities of their own to give themselves any hope whatsoever of scoring a goal in this game.
You're taking a path that's going to lead to a win. And you're not doing anything outside of it that's going to that's cause for concern or could lead to anything that's going to have forced you to deviate off that game plan, right? If you're the Beacons, we have had 2 periods where we have dominated the puck. It's Johnson and Wales, when they do get it, they're so tired from defending, they really just their only option is to dump and change and get fresh legs out there. So there's really nothing that Johnson and Wales has thrown at the Beacons that's any cause for concern. you just got to make sure you don't create those opportunities on your own by taking penalties, by having too many people in the offensive zone and forgetting to have guys back if the puck comes out. So things like that, which I'm sure are being addressed right now, are really the only way the Wildcats come back into this hockey game.
We will take a look around Beaconville. Plenty of stuff going on around UMass Boston as we are in the wintertime. Track and field was supposed to be up in Medford at Tufts, but we're having some trouble with the graphics. But don't worry, we'll still take you around Beaconville. The Tufts National Qualifier canceled. Women's basketball up 5, or 1 by 5 against Plymouth State. Men's basketball up against Plymouth State. Looks like that one's toward the end of the game in a very close one. Beacon's coming back in that one. Women's hockey is at Johnson & Wales right now. And on Tuesday, men's hockey will have the reverse fixture against these Wildcats. That game was supposed to be played last night, but because of the ice storm, postponed to a midweek 8 o'clock start. You see their men's basketball against Plymouth State. That one is at the end of there, and if that score is right, 47-47, that one will head to OT. And we will have an update on that one as that one does go final shortly in that extra session. But Beacon's rallying late against the Panthers of Plymouth State. I want to take a look around. We're having some graphic issues, so we'll just talk for a minute, Mizey. Why not? Hey, we got to do what we got to do, and
Gina's trying her best.
Allie
abandoned her.
It's definitely not on Gina. We will not pin it on Gina. We can pin it on Seth.
I'd be upset if I was Gina right now, because Allie is out frolicking in the stands right now. We're having technical issues, and Gina is scrambling trying to get it all together, and Allie could care less right now. Look at it.
I love the word frolicking. I love it. It's a fun word. And hey, we're having fun. It's senior night.
She's coming in to save it. She's running.
But let's say it like it is, Mizey. The fact that we can frolic with the fans in the stands, the fact that we can interact with Ethan Nitkin's parents and talk to the fans again, that's something that at no point before 2020 we ever thought would be an issue, and yet here we are in 2022, and we don't take fans for granted anymore. That's for sure.
No, not at all, and it's a great sign. I mean, we haven't had fans, I want to say, for
since before Codfish Bowl.
Yeah, so 3 months, give or take, depending on where you want to start the clock from. And yeah, it's nice. I mean, we got a full house. Taking a look over here, I mean, we are pretty much, well, not quite a full house. Let's say somewhere between 50 and 75%, I'd say, which is fantastic, given we were at 0% for a long time.
Well, it's good to know that people are checking beaconsathletics.com and seeing what the new fan policies are.
Yeah.
We're obviously at the end of the year, but for men's and women's basketball and for hockey as well, have to have full proof of vaccination and wear a mask at all times. But that feels like a pretty small concession to be able to sit here and watch your team. I mean, all 3 teams, really, men's and women's basketball and certainly men's and women's hockey, all 4 teams, they have an opportunity to make some noise in whether it is the Little East Conference on the basketball side or the New England Hockey Conference for men's and women's hockey. We'll get to see the women's hockey team tomorrow take on Johnson & Wales as well, and they're getting to the end of their season. It's the best time of the year. We're getting into March almost, February, March. It's the best time of the year, and it's great that we have fans again to be able to witness it in person.
Especially on senior night, right? Especially in an opportunity where, you want to honor the class that's on their way out, and you get an opportunity to have a building where, they get to cheer them on.
We still have about 2 minutes or so until the teams reemerge from the locker room, but we want to make sure that we remind you, if you did join us a little bit after the Senior Day festivities, that we're honoring 5 members of the senior class tonight. Evan Rohoviak, Ethan Nitkin, who had that second goal, and Rohoviak, who probably has the nicest one-on-one move of the day toward the tail end of that second period to dart around a couple of defenders. Then the captain, Evan Helt, who, boy, if there's something to watch for the final 20 minutes, Mizey, it's can we get Evan Helt a goal?
Yes, and it hurts to talk about, because I know he's thinking about it as well, right? It's in his head trying to get one. So I think it's coming. He hit the post tonight, and he had another one that could have easily gone in. It's coming. We just got to be a little more patient.
We're trying to get some updated stats, but we will take you out of this arena and into the rest of the NEHC It's Babson 2, New England College 2, Norwich 1, Southern Maine, or Norwich 4, Southern Maine 1, Elmira 2, Castleton 1, and the one that probably means the most to all you Beacon faithful out there, after 2, it is Skidmore 4 and Hobart 3.
Interesting. Hanging on.
They certainly are. But boy, 20 minutes that could completely flip this race on its head. Hobart was down 4-0 before they scored the final 3 of the second. The Statesmen are rising up fast. But as things stand, Babson, a team that's right behind the Beacons, who has lost to the Beacons twice, they're in a battle against New England College. Norwich looks like they are on their way to victory. But if the Beacons can find a way to finish this one off, which it looks like they should be able to, and Skidmore, boy, all Beacon faithful out there are going to be Skidmore fans for the next 20 minutes.
That's for sure.
That could cut the Beacons' deficit against the Statesmen in the conference polls to just 1. And we all know, we've said it before, we'll say it again, there is still a matchup to be played between the Cadets of Norwich and the Hobart Statesmen before this regular season is up. So the Beacons stay the course, win this one, win Tuesday night, take it to Castleton next weekend to set up that final game matchup against Skidmore. You never know, the Beacons could very well control their destiny of a regular season conference title going into the final day of the season against that very Skidmore team that is currently leading against Hobart 4-3 after 2. Beacons have the puck as we start the third period. This one whistles wide from Ty Matthews. Hobart had a 42-30 shots advantage through 2 periods, but Skidmore, having controlled most of the play, 4 goals, have given up the last 3, and we know Hobart can do that. We talked about it last weekend with the Hobart UMass Boston matchup. When Hobart scores, we talk about scoring in bunches. They are the epitome of scoring in bunches.
Yeah, they are.
Beacons try and play it off the carom. Nearly too many men on the ice. They had to get that last foot over the glass. Beacons come the other way. Gaining the zone. Pass was cut off as it made its way through. Shot comes in from Kropinski. Official on the far side goes down, gets back up. Just about 90 seconds gone in the period. Beacons 3 and the Wildcats nothing.
I'm just curious here, Mason, if Johnson and Wales would be a hand pass, I believe. If Johnson and Wales is going to switch anything up, you got to find a way to get some offense, right? Down 3, and you haven't had any. Let's be frank. You haven't had any in the first, second, not enough of it. So I'm curious to see if they're going to change anything, try to shoot a guy early out of the zone, maybe try to swing and overload a side, maybe overload a side, have someone come out the weak side. There's a lot of different things you can do, but you got to do something if you're going to try to get back in this game.
The Beacons have not committed a penalty through 2 periods, which has largely led to Johnson and Wales having nothing toward Sam Best's goal. Best has 3 shutouts on paper and 4 if we include the one against the club team of North Carolina, or Rhode Island, excuse me. Same color scheme.
I was going to say.
Same exact color. I don't know what went into my head there.
Well, I think you've got Duke and UNC. Is that tonight? I think that's tonight.
It's coming up, and I had that Tar Heel blue that Rhode Island
in your head.
Probably,
I thought more Duke.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it certainly looks like it.
Either way.
I mean, it looks like Kentucky Duke out there.
Yeah, easily.
Beacons take it into neutral ice. Move forward. Delivering hit at the end there was Keegan. Really nothing to lose for Johnson and Wales in this third period. They're trying to stay ahead of Castleton. Is Best drops that one. Castleton is battling. They're only down 2-1 as that one's deflected down and just goes to the left of the post. But it's going to be a high sticking call against Johnson and Wales. I hate to bring you back to your days up in Canada again, but you're in a game like this, and what is the approach when you're down 3-0? You're at this point you're really not chasing anything other than just trying to get something out of this game and feeling better as you head back to Providence. What are the types of things that Johnson and Wales can do here to just feel better about the final result, despite the fact that it looks predestined that they're going to lose it?
It's tough. Well, you're probably hoping for one that the Beacons start to inflict self-damage, right? Take penalties. And you've said, hey, if they do, we've got to make sure we capitalize on the power play. Other than that, there are some things you can do systematically. You can change your schemes a little bit. But the problem is they're not even possessing, right? You don't even have – it's not like they're possessing the puck and they don't have much to show for it. They're having trouble even holding on to the puck. So it really makes it difficult. You got to almost start there and just say, hey, we've got to find some shifts in the offensive zone and not just defending the whole time. It's a really tall task. You really almost need the Beacons to kind of self-implode in order to get this back into this hockey game. I just haven't seen enough on the ice that would show me that Johnson and Wales has anything that they can really build off of at this stage.
3.5 gone in the final period of regulation. Beacons with 3 goals in period 2 from Walker, Nitkin, and Peters. Not in that order. It was Walker, Peters, Nitkin who scored. Nitkin taking the turnover and going one-on-one and beating the goaltender with a beautiful move as he brought it across. Peters on a nice 1-2 pass through the zone by Jeffrey Skinner. And Walker, after a sustained period of possession by UMass Boston, finishing it at the near post off to our left as we view it from this vantage point.
Like even there, you got a little bit of a rush and you go off sides. That's just momentum killers. And when you don't have much momentum to speak of to begin with, they cost more. That's a high stick, didn't get called.
Trying to chip it out of the zone, and they do get it past the blue line into neutral ice, but the Beacons take it right back. Cycling things around, centering out towards center ice. Beacons gain the zone again, trying to get through traffic. How about that move? And nearly scoring. Not sure if I heard the ping of the post there, but how about that move through traffic?
It's like 4 guys. That's
right.
It's off the roof. Yeah, that was pretty impressive by the freshman Ty Matthews there. A little in and out right through middle lane and was able to get a backhand on net. I agree with you. I don't know if the puck hit the post or if it might have been the skate of Friedman. Something hit the post.
Right.
But either way, you can see the referee washed it off right away. In-zone draw here for the Beacons.
Still looking to get Rahoviak and Heltz into the scoring column today. The 2 seniors. Rahoviak does have 6 goals in his career to go along with 10 assists. Had a beautiful one-on-one move at the far side of the ice as this one is darted through. How about that rifle from Nolan Barrett? Boy, when he tees off on one, he doesn't need a slap shot. His wrister is ridiculous.
Yeah, I really like the way this player is developing. I really do. I think he's showing signs of being able to be that number 1 defenseman that can defend, but also offensively can contribute. And we've seen it a few times, not just in this game, but really through the course of the season where he's been a catalyst. Here he's again with the puck. Seeing there, that one gets blocked late, but getting those pucks through and creating offense on his own. Great stop there by Friedman.
Got to give it to Friedman. It's one of those days where he will probably get another loss on his record, but he's putting up a save total to be envied.
It's good for the stats.
Yeah, right?
That's a penalty. No? Looked like a hook to me.
I think we were talking about it. This is one of those games where I think Johnson and Wales in particular just wants this one to get to an end as quickly as possible. As another nice look there, just trying to rip it through a number of bodies. There's the look, and there's the goal.
I think it's Devin Moran.
Yep. The first rifle through traffic couldn't find the back of the net from Peters, but Moran is there to poke home from close range. 5:30 into this third period, and the Beacons have added a 4th.
Well, it's just a lot of defending, right? And you can see there on that goal, the Beacons were swarming, continuing to press, continuing to get shots through, and by the end of it, Johnson Wales was packed on top of their goaltender. They weren't really even defending. They were almost in just sort of a shell there. And you're not going to, a team that can move the puck like UMass can is going to break that down pretty quickly. And you can see there, Moran hanging out the back door, gets the puck on his stick. Not a huge opportunity for Friedman to come up with a save there. Moran was able to tuck it home and give his team a 4-0 lead.
They give assists to Kincannon and Peters, so the entire first line involved on the goal there. So Moran from Kincannon and Peters at 5:30 of this third period. And at this point, it's just how many potentially could the Beacons add before the clocks hit 0?
They're starting to feel that way for sure.
Moran gets his third goal of the season. The Leominster native, but the true freshman gets in on the act. I got to feel like the best thing about all this is you get to do all this again on Tuesday night against the same team.
Yeah.
And then you get Castleton.
Yeah, we mentioned this before. It's a very favorable end of season schedule here. And we talked about the Skidmore game that, being the final game is going to be a challenge. We know Skidmore has been hot and as they are right now against Hobart, giving really good efforts, good battles against some of these top teams in the conference. But you got to like it if you're Coach Blyle, taking a look at these last 4 games, 3 of which are against opponents that you should really handle with relative ease.
It is one of those things, and you play devil's advocate on that. You got to be clinical in these games, because obviously as soon as you hit the conference tournament, you have to be clicking on all cylinders. So sometimes you want to finish tough with the best teams so that you can finish, well, basically preparing yourself for the quality of opposition. But if you play the teams in front of you, got to take care of business. But that Skidmore game, it could go anywhere.
Yeah.
So you got to be ready to go against Skidmore, but potentially with 3 points taking you to a regular season conference title. That's potentially the weight that could be on that last game on the road.
Well, it certainly is. And these next few games are an opportunity to get guys healthy, right? And get maybe some guys that are struggling or in a little bit of a slump, maybe try to get them to break out of it. But you mentioned it. The last thing you want to do is have your level of competition drop as you're going into conference play. And when you play lesser opponents, that has a tendency to happen. Now, again, they play Skidmore the last game of the season, so I don't think that's going to be too much of a concern. But I think other things like, hey, we know that some of our, especially after the first round, some of our opponents are right there with us statistically and talent-wise, and we got to make sure we have our best effort night in and night out. And sometimes with games like this or against the Castleton, it looks good. You walk away with a win, and a lot of guys get points, but it can mask maybe some of the things that would have been brought out had you played a little bit stronger competition. So this is all stuff coaches think about, especially in games like this where you're up 4-0 and you've had the puck the entire night.
The Statesmen have completed their comeback. They're now at 4-4 down, or I should say over, in the cooler. So it's 4-4 between Hobart and Skidmore. Skidmore having led that one 4-0 going into the middle stages of the second period, and the Statesmen have turned on the Jets, looking to maintain their 4-point advantage over UMass Boston for the #1 spot and the regular season conference title in the NEHC. But the most important thing really for UMass Boston, it's not necessarily to get #1, but to get #2 at worst.
Yeah, those are the prized spots, right? Because you're going to be playing either Johnson and Wales or Castleton, and you can see what...
How about that look up front? Beautiful, nice pass, and then still a little back check there out of frustration.
I thought it was going to be an icing, and it certainly wasn't. Duncan had a chance to score there.
Certainly did. Stopped at the near post by Friedman. Wildcats come the other way. We will keep you updated on Hobart Skidmore over the final 10:42 of this one. Nice pass up front once again. Shot comes in and it's held. There was the look up front for Peters, looking for goal 2.
But you talk about those first 2 spots in the conference, and in a lot of ways, you're in control of your own destiny. If you're UMass, you're in second place right now. You've got enough points at hand to potentially move up into first, depending on what Hobart does. But you really are looking at that second spot as being yours if you can win out. And that's something that would seem like a tall task, but given the opponents, could be a reality.
Remember, this is not all about just catching Hobart. It's staying ahead of the absolute glut of teams below you. 5 teams separated by just a couple of points between UMass Boston, Babson, Elmira, Skidmore, and Norwich in no particular order. But those 5 teams all separated by less than a game's worth of points.
Yeah.
So that's why these games are so important. It's been fairly easy going, but that does not mean that this game has any less weight because of the opponent that you're facing. So Johnson and Wales on Tuesday night, then next weekend against Castleton, and then that Skidmore game. Got to take the first 9 points, and then you hope that you can make it 12 out of 12, but 9 is the minimum. This one escapes the zone. Beacons have to retreat with Bogan. Sent on the diagonal that time by Krapinski, who hasn't gotten in the scoring column today, but delivered some nice shots and some beautiful hits as well. Slaloming through on the backhand. Oh, what a move by Dakota Concannon.
That's impressive.
You think?
Right around all the Johnson Wales players. I mean, he went through everybody, including the goaltender. And then right through the slot, he was on his backhand and was able to tuck that right underneath the bar. And that was quite the shot there. And not a huge chance for Friedman as that puck was labeled. And it's 5-0 Beacons. Something else that caught my eye right now, it looks like Jake Atkins is talking with the coaching staff as well as his head coach, Pete Blyle. Not quite sure what this is. He has his helmet and his stick, but something's going on. So a goal by the Beacons, but cause for concern here is 21 Jake Atkins talking to the training staff right now. We'll keep an eye on that.
The 6'3 junior from Centennial, Ohio. Concannon completes that front line of scoring, as now Moran, Peters, and Concannon have all scored in this one. And Jeffrey Skinner, who does have an assist today, is the only player who has not scored on the frontier lines, as Walker and Nitkin have also scored. One of the things, and it's not just for this game, but we've seen games, Mizey, that it's been the third and fourth lines carrying the way for UMass Boston. And here it's the front 2 lines. That's a beautiful thing when on any given night you can rely on depth from lines 1 through 4, offense, defense, and of course ride your goaltending of best. The Beacons can win in a variety of different ways with a variety of different contributors.
No, it's a great point. I think what you're seeing there is a lot of times, especially against the top teams, your first 2 lines are pretty even, right? Talent-wise, I mean, they can really match up and take each other out. And so you want to have a third and fourth line where if you put them out in the right matchup, they can still contribute offensively. A lot of teams don't have that, and that's where they struggle, right? That's kind of the difference between a top team where maybe they have the depth in a third or fourth line to still score versus a mid to low team where, yes, they have top 2 lines that can score, but if you take them out, there's not much behind it.
You hear Evan Helt yell at himself as his pass gets cut out through neutral ice. 8 minutes to go in regulation. The Beacons 5 and the Wildcats nothing. Shot comes in from the point, deflected on its way through. Not sure if it went off of a Wildcat or a Beacon. Regardless, did not make its way to Sam Best, who continues to pitch the 0 up on the scoreboard. Somehow this one does not deflect into the protective netting. Went up high and comes straight down. Johnson and Wales, this is probably their best opportunity out front, and it's deflected in behind. Best made the first stop. Rebound was there, but deflected in behind the net. Closest the Wildcats have come in this game to getting on the scoreboard.
Certainly was.
Here they come again. Poked out from behind. And net come off its moorings?
I think we're getting either a net or potentially a crease violation.
Yeah, it looks like it was the latter, as goaltender didn't hold the puck, but you see Concannon scoring unassisted. And frankly, no one else deserves a point. He deserves that one all to himself.
That really was an individual effort. And the stick handling to create the offensive opportunity, and then the scoring touch to be able to get that backhand under the bar in a hurry against a tall goaltender, a 6'3" goaltender. That's not a ton of room there. He was able to elevate just underneath. Great play.
This has been about as clean a hockey game as the Beacons have played all year long. They have controlled possession, they've scored the 5 now, and they have still kept themselves out of the penalty box. Which I don't care what the quality of opposition that you play, ultimately staying 5-on-5 or 5-on-4 for the entirety of a game is no easy feat.
Oh, you're exactly right. And it has been a clean sheet for these Beacons. They've possessed the puck well. They haven't gotten frustrated. It seemed as though they were a little bit in that first period, but not enough to warrant any penalties or anything of that nature.
This shot deflected off of the goaltender's catching glove. Ryan Bogan shot that one from the left point. Beacons keeping it in there. Cross ice pass. Johnson and Wales trying to get in the zone, but it's taken off of the stick of number 8, Hayden Haldane. Beacons have it back in there. I bring up the Castleton game again because that game we had fun again because we had 11 goals from 10 different goal scorers, and here we have 5 from 5 different goal scorers. It's so much fun when everybody's getting in on the action.
Well, that's your thing. I haven't looked at my bingo card in a while.
Right.
I think you've got me last time I checked.
Ooh.
But it is enjoyable when you're calling a lot of different names and different players getting points, and
Nearly a trip there.
it looked like it was going to be. I'm sure the referees have similar sentiments that
Yeah.
this game is just about wrapped up. Want to keep that clock moving. I'm sure they have dinner plans and perhaps a date with their couch.
Yeah, right now, I don't know if all you hockey fans out there, you got the All-Star game going on one screen and you got UMass Boston up on the other.
That's true.
Johnson and Wales player goes down behind the play, and I think we may have just ended that perfect clean sheet.
Well, it's only because we were talking about it.
Yeah, I'll take the blame, as I think I've thrown enough announcers' jinxes out there today. It's Ryan Rowland. I think they're going to get him for a hold, but
Yeah.
It is a 2-minute minor, as he was battling behind the play with Adam Krofchalk, the true freshman out of Richmond, Virginia. And so with 5:37 left in this game, 2 minutes on the power play for Johnson and Wales. And
This is my nightmare if I'm Sam Best. There's no way he has a sweat right now. There's just no way. He's cold. Look at shot here. That was a rip.
trying to go on the shorthand.
I guarantee he's been skating, stretching, trying to stay warm for this exact moment. He knew the same thing we saw in the second period. There's going to be a moment where I'm going to sit here all night, and then all of a sudden, here we are, power play, and now I'm going to have to face some shots.
And he gloves that one, freezes the puck with 5:12 to go. 1:35 left on the 5-on-4 for the Wildcats. But the best thing about this, though, is I have the utmost confidence that Sam Best is the type of goaltender that can handle a situation like this. He gives me confidence. He's a calming presence back there for UMass Boston.
You're certainly right. And he's had games like this, most goaltenders have, where you're not facing a ton of rubber. And that's part of being a goaltender, is when you get called upon, being ready. And there's been goaltenders who have made careers of that, where they facing a ton of shots every night, no, but when they were called upon, they made those stops. And sometimes that's how you win a hockey game, especially if it's close. I mean, this one's a little different, 5-0, but there's instances where it's a 2-1, 3-2 hockey game. You haven't faced a ton of action, and you get called upon in the third period. Do you make the stop or do you not make the stop? When you do, all of a sudden, you can turn some ties and losses into wins.
Wildcats have it in their offensive zone. Beacons trying to poke it free, and that's nicely done to get it out of the zone that time by Dakota Kincannon. We are trickling toward the end of this senior day blowout for UMass Boston. Always nice when things end as they should be coming into the game. It's not been the Beacons' best effort, but frankly, that gives you confidence as well. If you can win 5-0 and not play your best, well, boy, What could Johnson and Wales, Castleton and Skidmore face if the Beacons do play their best over the next 3 days?
A little disappointed in the student section tonight, Mason. I didn't
Yeah,
get any.
it's been.
I didn't get any chance going. I hear from the parents, but I haven't heard a ton from the students.
They haven't been here in 2 months. They're getting
True.
their way. They got to get their bearings
Their
back
groove
as well.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, at least it's warmer in here than it is outside.
Oh man, I'm nervous about what it's going to be, especially with some of that wind coming off the water.
Yeah, all you Beacon faithful know exactly what Mizey's talking about. As this one whips around, we're less than a month away as this one is gloved by Sam Best. We are getting to the start of spring season, and anyone who
Gonna get another penalty.
Yeah. There's still 21 seconds left in the original penalty. You wouldn't know it the way the 5-on-4 is gone, but it looks like Ryan Bogan is headed to the box. And so Johnson Wales, if there's an opportunity to spoil the party, certainly for Best in the net, it's now with 5-on-3, 21 seconds left of a 2-man advantage, and then another minute and 39 of 5-on-4 after that. Beacons win the draw. Slap down ice for the initial clearance.
Hey-o.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine? Nightmare scenario.
That would have been the Krapinski goal that he's been looking for.
Imagine it could have been Evan Helt right there. Bangs that one home.
I don't think Evan Helt gives any kind of care whatsoever how he gets it.
He wants that just not a 0 on that column. And he hit the post so clean tonight. Oh my God. If that one goes in, this place erupts. Nice play.
How about that move? Too much on the puck, and there's another penalty against UMass Boston. Beautiful move. Trying to channel the Inter Dakota cannon, Brendan Shandley from Norfolk. And the Beacons are cramming the box again.
Well, Skinner got himself a 2. They called a hook. He was saying he lifted the stick, and he did it one too many times. I think he just got a 10 on top of it. Yeah, he did.
So in terms of the penalty minutes, now things are going to look a little bit more skewed because of the 10.
Got a timeout here. Yeah.
Yep. And why not? Johnson and Wales, they're heading into their senior day as a conversation now takes place between the officiating crew and the captain, Evan Helt.
That's one that's not going to sit well with the coaching staff, getting a misconduct late in a hockey game that's already at hand here.
So Johnson and Wales will now play another minute and 15 of 5-on-3 hockey. We had that question when the 5th goal went in of how many more could the Beacons add. Well, now you're just trying to protect that goose egg up on the scoreboard. See if they're able to do that. For the remaining 3:12, the Beacons will improve to 13-7-2, 9-4-2 in New England Hockey Conference play. Johnson Wales going to fall to 4-18-0 to 13-0 in conference, but there is still 3 minutes and 12 seconds to take something, not necessarily on the points, but on the scoreboard. Back to Providence, the officials still communicating.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's, oh geez, so they gave him, now it's 4:03 on the clock, so
Did he draw
figure out what did they,
no, it had to be a double minor then,
which is
because that's not a
strange.
major penalty in terms of minutes. So
Yeah, I'm curious what that actual call ended up being, because it's not like he drew blood, it was a hooking call.
right,
So,
and
but
it's
then-
not a 5-minute major.
Right.
It's double minor and then the misconduct on top of it.
yeah, I don't know. I usually have those things ironed out. I have no idea what they ended up calling on Skinner there, but he's got a load of penalty minutes now, I can tell you that.
Well, Johnson and Wales now will finish the game on a power play as the 3:43 remaining on The double minor is what we're going to call it because we were not quite sure exactly what the final call was. Will extend beyond the 2:43 that remain in the game. Here come the Wildcats. Looking to get on the scoreboard. Better late than never if you're a Johnson & Wales fan. This shot sprays wide. This one came through hot from Connor Linzo. He's got it back, plays it over to his line mate, Bite. Beacons take it away, and it's cleared not too far, but good enough from Krapinski. Krapinski plays it off the rebound, makes its way back. Cross-ice pass is behind the intended target, Cody Lagasse. Lagasse from Orrington, Maine, circles behind the net. The initial power play, I should say the second of the three that the Beacons have gotten in quick succession, is at an end. So we play 5-on-4 now for another 2:45, but there's only 1:53 on the clock. This one right in front of the net, and I think Sam Best has it covered. It does squeak its way out, but the play is blown dead first, and there's going to be another hooking call on UMass Boston. And heading to the box will be number 16, Pat Keegan. Mine wasn't working there for a second. Should have been able to tell by the hair who it was. Pat Keegan's hair, along with Chris Peters, is hard to miss.
I let it fly out the backside for sure. I had that for a little while. Didn't look as good in a goalie helmet, though. You really got to grow it out.
Well, now we're going to look at the stats after this game and see the penalty minutes, and it's not going to look at
Right?
all like it's supposed to.
We screwed. Well, the one thing I was going to say was the Beacons did an excellent job. We were talking about an excellent job of staying out of the box, not giving Johnson & Wales any opportunities. Had this been earlier in the period, right, when it was before it was 5-0, this would be a catastrophe.
Yeah. But these are also the types of things that might not bite UMass Boston in this game.
Right.
But you can't
Later
do
on.
this against Skidmore.
Yeah.
And certainly not in the conference tournament. Now, I don't expect that we'd ever see that because I think the players are smarter than that.
Right.
But these are the types of things that worry you as a coach that you should never have to worry about or you never want to worry about.
Your heart rate's up for no reason right now, right? And, yeah, it's just definitely a source of frustration. Huge block there by Helt. Oh, man. Huge block. They love that.
He does the little things. He does all the little things right. You want to get him that goal. It doesn't look like he's going to get it tonight, but hey, he's got 2 more games against Johnson & Wales and Castleton. Keep your eye on Evan Helt.
You can see, I mean, the eruption from the bench after that block, right? Almost better than a goal.
And the good thing is that Evan Helt's the type of guy, obviously he wants the goal, but he's not going to get upset if he doesn't, because he knows that his role was not to get goals. His goal was to do, his job was to do everything else.
Spot on.
And boy, what a job he's done over the last 5 years.
Spot on.
17 seconds left. Oh,
jeez. We're covering it with down 5 with 16 seconds left. We're going to cover the puck. All right, so better safe than sorry.
Oh, he was getting put under pressure.
He was.
There was one last charge down the ice to potentially get involved in the play, but with 16.4 left, one last face-off potentially, knocked in there behind by Gino Carabelli. Johnson & Wales takes it away, but with only 10 seconds left, they're going to have to move fast.
All right,
5, and that'll do it.
You can give Seth's note now. He wanted us to say earlier that now that it's official, you can mention it. So a big shout-out for Sam Best. And you'll get the name for me. He moves, I believe, into first place for shutouts in the conference, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I think Sean Dickinson, if I'm not.
Yeah, we'll get the numbers on that certainly in our pause. Elsewhere, Hobart has scored their 5th. They are up 5-4 on Skidmore. So unless Skidmore can turn things around in the final 90 seconds, it looks like Hobart will survive a thriller in the cooler as UMass Boston greets their fans. And boy, that's something that we never knew we'd miss. But over the last couple of months have not been able to see that. The students waving. And senior day comes to an end. A 5-0 victory. Was it the most convincing performance ever? No. But in the end, it does the job. 3 points on the board for UMass Boston. They keep pace with Hobart, who looks like they should be able to finish off Skidmore in a 4-goal comeback. And as we head to break, we still have lots more to come on the post game. But most importantly, a win on Senior Day. The Beacons take care of business. They win at 5-0. We'll be back for more from Edward T. Barry Ice Rink right after this.
I came from a working class family. I grew up in a hot-edge section of Lowell, Massachusetts, and I lived with my 6 siblings and my parents in a 4-bedroom house that had 1 bathroom. I knew that the only way that I was going to get to where I wanted to get to was if I got a high-quality college education, and I had the University of Massachusetts right in my hometown. It made a difference. I'm the first undergraduate alumnus to lead this university. I'm very proud of that. I think with that comes a special responsibility as a steward, as a protector. Every student that I see that walks through the door, I mean, I see myself. I was exactly where they are now. I had their same challenges, their same aspirations, their same dreams. And it makes me want to fight for them. It makes me want to make sure that they get every opportunity that I got. I was literally able to transform my life because of the University of Massachusetts, and I want that for every single student that walks through the door. I came from a working class family. I grew up in a hot-edge section of Lowell, Massachusetts, and I lived with my 6 siblings and my parents in a 4-bedroom house that had 1 bathroom. I knew that the only way that I was going to get to where I wanted to get to was if I got a high-quality college education, and I had the University of Massachusetts right in my hometown. It made a difference. I'm the first undergraduate alumnus to lead this university. I'm very proud of that. I think with that comes a special responsibility as a steward, as a protector. Every student that I see that walks through the door, I mean, I see myself. I was exactly where they are now. I had their same challenges, their same aspirations, their same dreams. And it makes me want to fight for them. It makes me want to make sure that they get every opportunity that I got. I was literally able to transform my life because of the University of Massachusetts, and I want that for every single student that walks through the door.
My name is Albie Daly. I'm from Able Park, New York.
We want to do theater that is responsible. We want to do music that is evocative and elevates us. We want to do dance that reflects urban movement and connection. I've been a practicing designer for the last 30 years. My specialty.
My name's Albie Daly. I'm from Able Park, New York. I'm a forward on the UMass Boston men's hockey team, and my current major is exercise and health sciences. Being a member of the men's hockey team is a tremendous honor, just because being able to play collegiate sport while pursuing my dreams of becoming a physical therapist and studying what I'd like to in school means a lot. My favorite memory as a member of the men's hockey team would probably be a big goal that I scored last year, the NCAA quarterfinals, the ECAC quarterfinals against University of New England.
What a turn in momentum!
Just because it was a big boost for both myself and our team moving forward.
Perfect shot right there over the shoulder of the goaltender Trost.
Frozen Fenway was just our outdoor game at Fenway Park, and it was a tremendous experience, I think, both for me and the guys on the team and, you know, the program as a whole. But we got to see the Red Sox locker room, which was an awesome experience, and just being at Fenway Park when you go to school in Boston is second to none, really, and that's what you look for, you know, when you're trying to experience collegiate athletics, and it's a really cool thing to be a part of. Being a student athlete at UMass Boston is a tremendous honor, just because it gives you the chance to really focus on your studies in a great academic environment while, you know, pursuing what you want athletically. So it's a pretty powerful thing.
I'm Alexa Capion. I'm from Messina, New York. I'm a junior on the women's ice hockey team, and I'm an exercise health science major. But when I got here, I met Coach Harris, and I saw the facility, and I met a couple of the girls on the team, and I pretty much got a feel of the program, and I knew right away that this is where I wanted to go to school. We have all league games for the rest of the year, so that's going to be a huge test for us. We need those points to hopefully come out with a good standing for playoffs. A couple of highlights from the last couple of years that I've been playing was probably last year when we won our first Codfish Bowl. We made history that year. I was really excited to be part of that. I don't have very many goals, but when I do score, it's definitely a big deal.
That's a goal!
For the past 3 years, we've had Emily. She is a member of the Team Impact program, and that's for children with illnesses that want to be part of a collegiate program. She's great. She comes and watches all of our games. She has her own jersey. She has her own stick. We've got her all this equipment. It's really awesome to have. She gives us a lot of motivation, and she comes in the locker room and talks to us before games, and it's really cool to have her here and be part of our team. When I graduate, I definitely want to go to graduate school, most likely for either athletic training or physical therapy. Our trainers here have definitely given me an insight about what it takes to be an athletic trainer. They're always on top of everything. They always know how to help us and what to do and what not to do. They're always there for us when we need them, and that's given me a lot of help with what I could be doing after I graduate, so that's nice to have them.
Psychology is about understanding the individual and understanding the mind and understanding how it affects others. The main reason why I want to combine psychology and business degrees is because I want to understand the business decisions that are made. I'm Nurçin Çelebi. I'm from Turkey originally. I'm a senior at the 5-year BA to MBA program at UMass Boston. Right now I'm doing an internship, so I will be starting to get experience in the field, and on top of that, getting an MBA and adding that business edge to my psychology degree. I think in management, the biggest mistake you can make is to not listen. So I want to be able to step into a company and say, here's what you're doing now, and here's how you can improve it in order to get the best out of your people, and in order to actually have people coming in here with passion. I moved here when I was 16 for high school. Moving from Turkey, it was a rough journey for me because when you don't really speak the language that well, and when you don't really fit in the crowd, it's very easy to disappear. But I decided not to give up, and UMass helped me. It was really a blessing for me to come to UMass Boston because it helped me really grow and show me that I can do things on my own. I wanted to be able to improve myself. I wanted to be able to try new things, and I think UMass gave me a really good head start on that.
I'm Elizabeth Glavin, sophomore business management major from Edina, Minnesota. I love being a part of this volleyball team. Volleyball is what brought me to UMass Boston. I looked at our recruiting website one last time and saw UMass Boston on it, came out for a visit the next week, and it kind of hit all the boxes that I was looking for. In a good city, good academic school, good volleyball program, it had everything I wanted. Although it was far away from home, I knew this is where I wanted to be. Winning 6 back-to-back LEC titles is really a dynasty, I think, and Terry has really focused hard on recruiting and building this dynasty and continuing to build a program that can continue to win championships, and it's really lucky to be a part of something this great. Last year, I was the Little East Conference Defensive Player of the Year, All-Conference second team, NCAA Regional MVP of the regional tournament, ABC All-Region Honorable Mention, and New England Women's Volleyball Association All-Rookie Team and Honorable Mention. I think my favorite game would have to be...
We take a look at the scoring summary from this one. 5 goals, 3 in period 2, followed by 2 more in the third. 5 goals, 5 different goal scorers, all from a variety of different developing plays, from the one-on-one efforts to some nice passing, specifically for that Peters goal, but nice plays by Nitkin and Kincannon as well. Moran finishing from close range, and it feels like the Walker goal was a very long time ago in this one, but it all adds up to a nice 5-0 senior day victory.
Got to be happy, you know, and at the end of the day, not really going to remember how it was completed, just going to remember it was 5-0. It was Sam Best's 4th shutout. That puts him close to the top, if not the top. Tied for first, Seth's telling me, for in all of Division III for shutouts in a season, which is quite impressive. So fair to mention that. But overall, just a solid win for the Beacons. Took care of business. And another 3 points. Unfortunately, it looks like Hobart did end up winning.
Yep, 5-4 final.
That was a little bit unfortunate because Skidmore was up 4-0 in that hockey game, which would have been nice. That would have put them right back in first place or close to. But nevertheless, took care of business tonight. And then get another chance at these guys again on Tuesday.
Yeah, Connor O'Brien and Sam Best. O'Brien out of Endicott. And Sam Best, of course, of your Beacons, now tied at the top of the D3 rankings with 4 shutouts apiece. And if you add in that additional one that went down as an exhibition, which Mazzy and I both add in because, hey, he played 60 minutes. He let up no goals. He should get credit for that, and he's certainly recognized for it. That would be shutout number 5. But we look at these final stats, and doesn't necessarily look like a hockey game. In 61-17 in shots. How about 56 saves at the other end of the ice for Jackson Friedman? He certainly went down fighting, but his Johnson Wales Wildcats thoroughly defeated by UMass Boston. You see those 10 penalty minutes, 5 minor penalties, although you add the misconduct on top of that. And the penalties in the last 5 minutes do not go UMass Boston's way, but they kill them off. And Johnson Wales cannot find their way past Sam Best, who pitches another shutout. And now we look forward to Tuesday and next weekend against Castleton and Skidmore.
More of the same, hopefully, here in the future for these Beacons and rolling with some nice momentum going into conference play.
If we had to come up with 3 stars from this one, we can give it to Sam Best, we could give it to Kincannon, we could give it to Peters.
Yeah.
Probably could add a couple of goals, but the good thing is that when it's hard to choose your 3 stars, you know it's been a good day.
Yeah, no, exactly right. I like those 3 names you just said. I would agree with you. I'd say Peters in any order you deem applicable. Best, Peters, and I think Kincannon for that nice backhand goal. That was something special.
Could have been Barrett too. How many times we talked about him.
Could have been Nick, and yeah, Skinner had a couple points, but I like those 3: Kincannon, Best, and Peters.
The big result around the NEHC, of course, was Hobart somehow coming back from 4 goals down against the Thoroughbreds, who could not finish their race. They collapse at the end and give up 5 straight to the Statesmen, so the Beacons stay 4 points behind Hobart. But with results elsewhere, the Beacons maintain their perch in 2nd place in the New England Hockey Conference. That is a wrap for the regular season here at Edward T. Barry Ice Rink. 3 more road games to come. Johnson and Wales on Tuesday night at 8. Followed by a game against Castleton and Skidmore, back-to-back on the road next weekend. But we will see you back here, hopefully, for NEHC playoff hockey. Beacons have put themselves in a great position for it, and so we hope that this is not the last time that we will sign off from Edward T. Barry this season. We thank our great production team, Allie Crawford, our producer, with Tam Landry and Gina Albano tag teaming as our directors today. Allie Crawford handling the instant replay. Georgia Bonney, Danny Anderson, Lauren Bethay, and Nilo Estiga handling the cameras today. My great color commentator, as always, Matt Meisenbacher, and me, Mason Stauf, saying so long from Edward T. Berry Ice Rink.